Under-23s manager at Crystal Palace, please. Yes! Come on! Oh, this is good news.
Into the black hole. Sing for my soul.
Hi guys, and welcome back. Or should I say welcome, I suppose, to the final ever video with Whitport and Blackhaven. Sort of. Wow, what a journey it's been to get to this point. 16 seasons. We went from the 8th tier to 2 European finals and, well, not even that close, really, but we were literally a game away from potentially a 3rd European final and a Champions League appearance. We couldn't quite do it. It does make you think, though, perhaps one more season in this save, were there time, we may well have been able to do that. But then I've said that before when we've been in this situation, like with Frozen Fortunes and B67, I think I said something similar, although I feel like we were much further away with that than we were with this one. So, we're in the year 2064. I'm amazed at how fast this simmed overnight, I've got to be honest. I think, now I actually can't remember, I think we've done 30 years off camera. It might be 31, might be 29, I can't remember exactly, but I think it might genuinely be dead on 30 years. 80-year-old Marvin Suarez now has been out of the game for 30 years now. A lot has happened. Now, obviously, I don't look at anything before I do this. There's only one thing I have seen, and that was accidental, because when the game saved itself, autosave for the final time, it revealed a league table for the current season of the Premier League, and I was able to see something in there that made me go, oh, okay, so there's that. That's the only thing I'm aware of. So all we're going to do is the same thing I do normally. Now, we actually did one of these on stream yesterday for my Outcast to Icons save, which was bloody good fun, I would say, with all the chat requesting things for us to check out. So if you don't already follow over on Twitch, we've got Scotland national team save coming up for the beta, and then we're going to be doing Tromsø building a nation in Norway over on Twitch as well. So I'll talk more about the YouTube stuff with a separate video as we do the managers and whatnot. So what I've done is I've got a big list of players. I've basically gone through every single player at the club, every single player that's played for the club that we've sold or that had some kind of relevance to us, and made sure that I've got the keep history after retirement ticked on for them. Now, for some reason, occasionally, that doesn't work. I don't know why, but for some reason, occasionally, one of the players will still not get saved after their retirement. Hopefully, though, that doesn't happen today with anyone important. Happened a couple of times yesterday. It happens a couple of times per looking forward video. It's just one of those things. So I've got a big list to my left. I've randomized the order on it. We're also going to do all different tournaments, awards, all that sort of jazz. Very, very important, but we'll stick to the players first. Now, this is going to be a single video. Normally, I do looking forwards as like a 5-part series. We don't have time for that, so this is going to be probably quite a long video. So my advice to you right now, pause the video, go grab yourself a snack, a drink, some popcorn, because you're probably going to need that, I suggest, and then settle in, because we're going to be here for, I would say, probably about 90 minutes. We'll figure it out along the way. It depends. There's not as many players as there were with the last save that I did this on, so perhaps that might bring it down slightly, but I'm sure we'll find something interesting. We always bloody do. Right, without any further ado, let's get cracking, and the first player up is Dale Connor. And here he is. Dale Connor, 130 caps for Wales, 6 goals. He still looks a bit of a mess, but I like him anyway. He stayed at Whitport not that much longer, actually. He didn't stay that many more seasons at Whitport. He eventually moved to Norwich City, so one of the things we can do is have a little look at this. Still was playing regularly. Now, again, one of the most ridiculous things that happened on that stream yesterday with the Looking Forward was the fact that Norwich became the best team in the world, literally. So I wonder if the same kind of thing has happened here. Spent a load of time at Norwich, went to Real Mallorca. Real Mallorca? I don't think it is Real Mallorca, is it? Doesn't matter. How much did he move to Norwich for, is my big question. Did he move on a free? Oh, loan at Norwich City. Surely that can't have been a 5-year loan spell. He must have moved there permanently at some point. I don't think we can actually see it. This thing is a bit of a bugger. Let's see if he actually won anything. So he was actually promoted from the Championship with Norwich. So fair play to him. So that means he must have dropped down to the Championship, I'm guessing, or he got relegated from the Premier League with them. It's annoying you can't see what league they were playing in. Maybe it was a free transfer? It seems unlikely, as I think he had more time left on his deal. But there we go. Retired as a player at the age of 36, did not become a manager. Actually, this is a question I always ask everybody on these videos. Who do you think is going to have had the best managerial career? That's the real question. Who do you think is actually going to have gone the furthest as a manager in this save? Now, I want a Herman Caballo type of player. That's what we're talking about. While we're here, put your predictions as to ridiculous things in the comments. I'll be interested to see who's line up the most. 650 league appearances as well for Dale Connor. That is bloody impressive, honestly. I also wonder, who do you think is going to be the longest serving Whitport player out of the bunch that we check? Who do you think is going to make the most league appearances? My guess is it's usually a goalkeeper, but maybe Russell Griggs still. I'm interested to see about that one. So all sorts of predictions, put them in the comments. I'll be interested to chat with you guys there. But sadly, I don't really think there's much more we can say about Dale Connor. You could see that Whitport didn't get to any more finals, it would seem, in that period between me leaving and him leaving. So that doesn't bode well for us. Honestly, my biggest, not concern, the biggest thing I want to see is whether Blackhaven actually managed to remain successful after the money stops. Because as I said before, when I built the database for Blackhaven, the way I did it was through the sponsorship money income incrementing every season. But that runs out after like 30 seasons, which means that they will have been well out of money for about 20 odd years. Well, maybe not 20, but about 15 seasons. So I want to see if you can actually make a side sustainably come up from the lowest tier of English football to the top without you actually interfering with them directly. And that's a real test for me. So I'm looking forward to seeing the results overall. Maybe they've won a title. Maybe they're back in League 2. I mean, that would be the worst case scenario. Anyway, Dale Connor is done. Let's move over to Hichem Seba, who retired at the age of 37. Now, obviously, he'd already left Whitport by the time we'd left this save. So I don't think there's a great deal that we can really say about old Hichem. I don't know how much he left for in the end. £1.1 million he went to Dusseldorf for, was apparently only there for what would appear to be a season and a half. Well, 2 seasons, really. First season played a lot, second season not so much. But then he moved over to El Arabi for around about the same kind of money. And he did sort of have a really consistent career there, playing... Wow. I mean, I'm guessing that's the number of games in a season. This guy was consistent. 36 caps as well for Morocco. Not bad, really, when you think about it. I think he was one of those players that we always had as a backup. He was never going to be playing regularly for us. In fact, he only made 8 appearances for Whitport over his entire career with us. Then again, technically he was only here for 3 seasons, so can't really blame him too much on that one, but retired at 37. That's quite nice. Sometimes you see players retiring way too young for my liking, and 37... for a goalkeeper, that's pretty solid. 36 for Dale Connor. That's not bad either. Next up, it's Max Mccoy, who retired at the age of 34. He did have a fairly long career, though, after he left Whitport. Went on to play for another 11 seasons upon leaving us. Initially with Ross County, although that may have been a loan spell. In fact, it stands to reason it was almost certainly a loan spell. Yes, it was indeed. He then went to QPR. 5 seasons at QPR, and he was racking up the appearances. Most of his league appearances, it would seem, other than with us, came at QPR. Few seasons at Preston as well, and then he sort of dropped down to Chester. That being said, bearing in mind he joined QPR on a free transfer, he went to Preston for 3.4 million, which isn't actually that bad. That's quite a big step up for the lad. So clearly his performances at QPR did well for him, and to be fair, scored 6 goals in that season. It's pretty good. So not bad for Max Mccoy. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of players that were perhaps left us earlier in the save and therefore perhaps don't have the illustrious careers you might imagine. But there's also a lot of them. Some very exciting ones like Jack Charlie, Keith Abbott. I want to see what those guys did. If one of them or both of them are still at Whitport or were at Whitport their entire career or something, I would be ecstatic. But honestly, my bet would be that virtually every single player in that Whitport squad that we left with would have left Whitport within 5 years, and that sucks. But you just want one guy to be a hero for them. But and maybe they will. Maybe they'll earn their way to be the manager for the next save just based on that alone. So next up, it's Sebastian Chan, who retired at the age of 33. Now, obviously, we sold him to Derby County for £4.1 million, which I actually think was a pretty solid deal when you consider that we didn't even pay that much for him. In fact, it doesn't even say. It was around about 5 million, I think. That's how much we paid for him from Everton at the time. Did well for us. I liked Sebastian Chan because he had that big match mentality, and I think that really did do well for us, particularly in that playoff final. Was it the playoff final? I think it was the second playoff final, the one we won, or was it a cup final? I don't know. Point is, Sebastian Chan does mad things for us. He was only at Derby for 2 seasons before he eventually joined Blackburn, but I don't know if they bought him or what, but at the end of the day, he didn't seem to have got that far anyway. As for landmarks, obviously a lot of these... Oh, he did actually win promotion from the Championship with Blackburn, though. So that's kind of interesting, considering Blackburn were garbage the season we finished this save as a Premier League side. It looks like they bounced straight back up again, or rather, no, it took them 2 seasons they came back up with Seb Chan in the team. So fair play to old Stebbers. Did all right. 33 he was when he retired. He was a fullback, I suppose, so, but only 175 league appearances in totals. Actually quite low, to be fair. Right, next up, Vernon Lewis. 34-year-old Vernon Lewis. This was one of those, he was one of those transfers, I should say, that was, at the time, it felt like a good decision, but I kind of regretted it at the end of the day. He spent on trial at Whitport. Yeah, doesn't say how much we bought him for, but it was too much, basically. And eventually, as you can see, we sold him to Grimsby for £55,000. It just didn't quite work out for old Vernon. It might have been a free transfer, actually. It might have been one of those ones we got on a complete free. One of those released Premier League players, because he did sort of then find himself in the sort of lower leagues of English football, eventually moving to Lincoln City for £675,000, which isn't actually that bad, to be fair. And that was around about the time that we were finishing off the save, just after that. Didn't play that much for Lincoln City, or actually, how many seasons was that over? 2 seasons, a reasonable amount of appearances. It seems like he didn't play a lot in the first season, unless it was a January signing perhaps, but he didn't last long at Lincoln, Leyton Orient, Plymouth, sort of ricocheted around I think the best part of his career really looks to be this Grimsby and Mansfield period after he left us. After he got his big money move, it doesn't appear that he could really step up and actually back that up with results on the pitch. Still made a lot of appearances for Lincoln and Leyton Orient. Plymouth, though, just the 1 appearance in 2 seasons, and I think at that point he was just like, nah, I've had enough, and retired at the age of 34. Right, Grant White is next. This one will be interesting because I felt that he was a really good quality striker, and I think if he found the right club after he left us, now I can't remember who he actually sold him to, then there's a good chance that he could have done something. And well, okay, interesting, very interesting indeed. So he does seem to have done exactly that. Firstly, 16 goals for Scotland, 59 caps. That's always a good sign for him. Let's just check his landmarks. Okay, so not a lot. Although he did get Euro 90... Oh, that was well before. And he FA Cup runners-up with us. So he didn't actually win anything as a player, per se. But, and this is the key thing here, we sold him to Kievo for £7.75 million. That then earned him a move to Bournemouth after, I mean, good first season at Kievo, 10 goals in the league, 9 goals, 11 goals. That last season was a bit of a shit if I remember. Ironically, that was the one that Bournemouth thought, yeah, you know what, let's crack on. And, I mean... It's fine, I guess. It's not amazing. If these goals were for Bournemouth in the Premier League, then it kind of looks like that's not a bad player. To score 13 goals in the league, in the Premier League, isn't a bad signing. That's 13 goals that you kind of a predictable average to bad, below average Premier League striker. And I guess that's kind of what we expected from him. £9 million for Bournemouth eventually. I mean, he was there for 6 years. But to be fair, they did get a lot of their money back, as it goes. Selling him back for, I mean, they only lost like a million and a bit pounds to sell him back to Fiorentina or to go back to Italy. And he did hit 10 goals in presumably Serie A. Second season kind of fell off a bit, had a loan spell, I'm guessing, at Stade. No, actually, that was a permanent move to Stade Rennais. Then eventually went to Genk, and you can see that he was just kind of struggling, couldn't quite do it anymore. But as a striker to play on to the age of 36, fair play to Grant White. I didn't expect him to go on as long as he did. He's not had the most illustrious of careers, but at the very least, he did manage to sort of earn his way back into the Premier League with some solid performances for what would have been a middling team in Chievo Verona. They certainly wouldn't have been challenging for things. So for him to get like double figures in Serie A on 2 seasons, not bad, really. And 13 in the Premier League for Bournemouth and 36, not bad either. Right, next up, Marcolini. And then after that, there's a huge list of players that are real squad players, proper names at Whitport. I did do this totally randomly. It just seems to have happened that a load of players that had left us on transfers and stuff have all come up at the very beginning of the list, as you do. So, here is Marcolini, retired at the age of 33, never quite got that cap. He was one of those ones, I felt he had good potential, never really played that much for us. Eventually, who did I sell him to in the end? Or was that after I left? No, that was definitely... Or was it? No, I think that was just after I left. Joined us permanently. Yeah, so... joined St Johnstone, that was after me. That was when his contract was up. And it seemed to me that he just really liked playing in Scotland. Did okay for Charlton, but he liked it Dundee. Went to St Johnstone on a free transfer. Had a great first season there, but then he just seemed to fall out of favour very quickly. Eventually moved on to Partick Thistle, where it would seem, ironically, that he actually made the majority of his appearances very late in his career with Partick Thistle in a weird format where he would he'd have a really good season with loads of appearances, then sort of struggle to get a game the next season, then loads of appearances the following season, then struggle to get a game. And then in his last year at the age of 33, Partick Thistle were like, yes, we need Marcolini. Certainly not a club legend by any stretch, but 5 solid years at the club and looks like well over 100 league appearances for them. It's certainly no shame in that. 229 league appearances in his career, though. Not ideal when you consider we've got players on over 600, like Dale Connor, who's over nearly at 650 league appearances in his career. To be fair, he did retire very late, did old Dale Connor. Right. This one is a big one. Saliu Balde. Big left-sided player for Whitport. Battled on that left-hand side with Simon Nelson. What did he achieve in his career? How long did he stay at Whitport? Did he get a massive money move? Or did he just end up playing for Partick Thistle? No offence, Partick Thistle. Let's go. Big news. Right. How did it... Okay. Well, there we go. So he's definitely played for some big sides. Wow. That is... Okay, this is going to be interesting. So firstly, 22 caps for Portugal, retired at the age of 34, and he got 2 goals for his country. That is the least of his problems right now. So, what happened? So, oh my God. So, I mean, he literally joined Chelsea, what would appear in that summer. Doesn't even say how much he signed for. I mean, it certainly wasn't... His contract certainly wasn't up, as far as I know. We paid £30 million for him. He then joined Chelsea for a fee we don't know. I don't know why it doesn't always show you. There's no way his contract was up. And then he left to go to Southampton for £19 million after making 1 appearance for Chelsea. It's the old classic, I'm getting too big for... He got too big for his boots. Look at his record for Whitport. 7 goals, 8 goals, 7 goals. Really, really consistent, good league performances in the Premier League. Goes to Chelsea, can't buy a game. But that being said, one season at Southampton, he basically reverted back to Whitport form. 37 appearances and 8 goals. That is literally nailed it. And that allowed Southampton to double their money on him in a single season. £40 million was eventually the transfer to Manchester City in the end, where he only made 3 league appearances. And then, amazingly, joined Barcelona on what would appear... Oh, no, hang on, wait, that was a loan spell. He was loaned to Barcelona from Manchester City. Hang on, just to... So, Man City buy this guy off of Southampton for £40 million. He then plays 3 times for them in one season. They then loan him to Barcelona, presumably for quite a large amount of money, and then he doesn't play at all on a loan spell. Doesn't even play for Barcelona B. And then eventually, is he sold permanently to Napoli? Yes, he is. £19.75 million moved on to Napoli, where he actually does start to pick his career up again. 7 appearances, 7 goals, 6 goals, and then just the 1 goal. Then it looks like that was a loan spell at Real Betis. Didn't quite manage to bring in the goals that time. And was it a loan spell? No, it was a permanent move to Maccabi Haifa, ironically, a team we actually played earlier in this save, finishing off his career in Israel. So with Salih Balde, it feels like he was a good player, but not a top draw player. A guy that could definitely do it for a team playing in Europe, but not one of the big sides. He couldn't compete with those guys. But when he was playing for teams that were just sort of hovering around the edges of that type of thing, you know, Whitport, Southampton, Napoli, the teams that aren't going to be winning the league potentially, but are sort of challenges for the Champions League, challenges for Europa League regularly, that seems to be where he can really, really flourish. Like, he was good to get you between 6 to 8 goals a season in the league over that period. And for a left-sided player, that's kind of what you want, really. So a really consistent performer for those clubs, but a guy that just could not cut it quite at the very top level of the game. But he gave it a go, I suppose. I don't think maybe he even really got the chance at Barcelona, Manchester City or Chelsea. When you think that he played for all 3 of those sides and got a combined 4 appearances over those 3 clubs. Some big names to have in your CV, but it doesn't bode well for you. Still, 61 goals in his career. Salih Balde, that's at least a bit more of an interesting one, I have to say. Pleased for him, I guess. Next up, though, is Matthias Uber. And here he is. Now, we still haven't had anyone go into management yet, which is disappointing when you consider that we're like a 1/6 of the way through it at this point, but that's just how it goes. So, once again, Bournemouth buying our... wait, hang on. So he paid... Oh, dear, this is not looking good, is it? Oh, dearie me. Now, my hope is, and bearing in mind, this is a key thing. Look at this. He was there until 2041 at Whitport, and that move to Bournemouth looks like it was a loan spell as well. So he stayed a Whitport player for the longest that we've seen so far, consistently making and I do wonder if maybe that concerns me a little bit though, because it might make me think that we maybe sold Keith Abbott, and that's why Uber was still getting game time that long into the save at that point. I was kind of hoping that Abbott would have forced his way into the squad by then, because he would have been like early 20s at that point. That's concerning. 54 caps for France, and he did get a goal, to be fair. So, oh, hello, look at this. He won the Europa Conference League with Whitport in 2039, which means Whitport have won they've won more European trophies than just the one I won with the club. In fact, they've won the Europa Conference League at least once more with Matthias Uber, and that was a full 4 or 5 years after I left the club, so they were clearly still being competitive in Europe at that point. That's a good sign. So, yeah, £63 million for us. Was there for a while. Went on loan at Bournemouth. In fact, hang on, wait, are these all loan spells as well? Oh, no, so eventually he joined Valencia for £14 million. So actually, he was a Whitport player all the way up until here. These were all different loan spells. Bournemouth, Watford, Espanyol. And then after he was at Valencia, he went on loan to Celtic for the final year of his career. So it's definitely interesting that he's actually won something. In fact, more so than that. So you can see, Europa Conference League winners, FA Cup runners-up, Europa League runners-up. Wow, okay. Hello there. So look at this. Whitport back-to-back finals as well in 40 and 41. They got to 2 consecutive Europa League finals and lost it. They were also in the FA Cup final that year and lost it. Oh my God. Think of all the trophies that have just slipped through Whitport's hands here. They must have had a good team about 5 years afterwards to get to like 2 major trophy finals in the same season and lose them. And no Premier Leagues in there either. That is a shitter. Oh God, because it feels like... So it would appear that Whitport certainly don't win another Premier... Well, not I say another Premier League. A Premier League in this period at all, because Uber was there all the way up until 24-1. So they maybe could have won one after he left or was on loan. So perhaps that wouldn't have counted. But still, interesting. Now, obviously, there's still the extra, 25 seasons. But I am concerned that Whitport, particularly as we never quite reached the full heights of the club that we potentially could have done, I imagine that they sort of slowly but surely declined back into mediocrity, you would have thought. I don't know. The only other thing I did see was on the simulation screen, I saw a fixture come up that said Blackhaven had beaten Whitport in the derby, which means they must have been playing against each other. So that suggests that Blackhaven and Whitport are in the same league, no matter what happens. So that's kind of interesting. The fact that they're still in the same league in 2065. Now, what league that is remains to be seen. But the fact that they're at least playing some more derbies, I'd be interested to see the overall derby record of the two teams compared to each other now over this huge period of matches where we've now got 45 years worth of fixtures. That must be closing in on 100 games, because I guarantee they must have played each other in the cup at some point over there. And we'll have a look through the past meetings between the clubs as well, so we can have a proper look at all the derbies and stuff. So that's Matthias Uber. Next up is Bouzidi, Mr. Real Madrid. I wonder whether that worked out for him. Well. Oh, no, you didn't, Mohammed. I am furious with you. Okay, I like this. I mean, he has fully completed his heel turn here. This is shameful behaviour. Firstly, cool to see a player actually become a coach or a scout or whatever, but that is not what I'm pissed off about. This is just disgraceful. Look at this. I cannot stand the thought of this crap. So, he went to Real Madrid on a free transfer, did okay that year, played some games, then just failed. But then he left to join Blackhaven United on a £10.5 million transfer, where he didn't score many goals for them in the Premier League, but did get 10 assists over 2 seasons. His first season was clearly quite solid, but then even Blackhaven got bored of him, and he went to Fenerbahce and then Real Betis on loan spells before finishing his career with quite a long spell at Benfica, where he started off very well. Actually, no, he didn't, did he? His first season was okay, then it kind of waned, and he barely featured for that point, probably studying for other kind of badges. But the fact that a Whitport player has gone to Real Madrid and then joined Blackhaven after that would have made him the most hated man in Leyth. I wonder if there's been any other transfers between Whitport and Blackhaven in this save. Now, I know that they can't move directly between the two clubs, because I'm pretty certain I made it so that the clubs would never sign players from each other. Not because of to help me or to help them, more because of rivalry reasons, like a sort of old firm type of thing. Obviously that does still happen, but you know what I mean. But the fact that I think it's because he went to Real Madrid first, and then Blackhaven were like, we're going to pull this off. And, I mean, that is disgraceful behaviour. Mohamed Bouzidi just became... he's up there for me as far as heel turns. He's up there with Clive Kimberley. What's the betting Clive Kimberley play for Blackhaven at some point as well? It would make a lot of sense now, wouldn't it? So when did he retire as a player, out of interest? Can we even see that information? I guess we can. In 2044, so he would have been, 34, 35? Not bad at all. So there we go. That's Mohamed Bouzidi. At least he went into something later in his career, and he's a pretty good scout, to be fair, working for FC Cologne. Not bad at all. What's his manager? I mean, he's been at FC Cologne for the past 21 years. So the moment he stopped being a player, he essentially just went, yep, going to be a scout now. And he's been doing that ever since there. Sticking with it. Fair play to the lad. Except not, because he's played for Blackburn, so he can suck. Blackhaven, so he can suck it. Right, next up is Milan Lonchar. And this is going to be tasty, I hope. Oh, okay. Why is it they always join Southampton? Oh my god, he left in the first chance he got. £44 million he joined for Southampton. Wow, we really just did absolutely decimate our squad. I think it's the following season. I think it was 34 that we finished this save. Or was it 35? No, I think it was 35. I think he literally left the first chance he got. Bummed off to Southampton for £44 million. Now, I know we made a lot of profit on him, considering we only paid £3 million. But, Christ, guys, what did Whitport bloody do? How did we get to finals if we were constantly selling our players at these prices? That's shocking. Did make 130 appearances for Serbia as well, with 51 goals. That's pretty damn good. As for his record, oh, look. I mean, he had one solid-ish season, but look at this. 17, 25, and 20 in the Premier League for Milan Lonchar. That is consistent. Couldn't even come close to replicating that for Southampton. And to be fair, he didn't really replicate that for anybody. Sort of did okay for Leeds, 12 goals and 28 there. Barely played for Southampton after the first season. What a waste, eh? Marseille was better as well. A couple of consistent double-figure seasons for Marseille towards the end of his career. I don't know how much they paid for him. It looks like it might have even been a free transfer from Leeds United. So, what did he win? Let's check it. So, he won promotion to... Wow. What on earth is this? Are these all under 23 games? Premier League Cup runners-up? This all must be under 23 stuff. It has to be. Premier League Cup, what even is this? This has to be the Premier League. Yeah, it's some kind of under-23 tournament, I think. And it would appear that the other thing is similar to that in that it's Premier League 2 Division 2. Isn't this the Yeah, so it's an under-23s tournament. That's well done, Milan. You've done goofed it there, my friend. So yeah, his best spell of his career was at Whitport. I had high hopes for Milan Lonchar, to be honest. I think he performed well for us. It does make you wonder, though. Maybe we could have had a better striker. Maybe Wynn Billington would have still done better. I wonder what happened to Wynn. That's a good question. Next up, though, and this is a big one. It's Jack Charlie, 17-year-old wonder kid that we signed from Walsall. Oh, God, I hope he didn't just go to Man City straight away. Please, Jack, stay with us. Under-23s manager at Crystal Palace, please. Yes! Come on! Oh, this is good news. I know that he did go to Chelsea in the end, but that doesn't matter because he got 151 England caps and 9 goals for his country. Jack Charlie, Whitport legend. That is so I am so happy. So, that's the wrong button. Of course, he's under 23. Has he actually managed anyone? No, he hasn't. Okay. Annoying that he went to Chelsea. Don't care. Like, that is gorgeousness. So, this was his second season. This was the last season I was at the club. The moment I left, literally, the new manager, whoever that will be, I'll be interested to see who that was, came in and dumped Jack Charlie straight into the team, and he was a stalwart in the Whitport backline for literally the next 12 years of his career, until he was around about 30 years old. I don't know why they would then sell him to Chelsea, but then £53 million is a lot of money. And that being said, he still went on to play for Chelsea for a bloody long time. What was that, another 8 seasons? So he was probably like 38 when he retired from football at Chelsea, and he had some good seasons at Chelsea too. What was the best year of his career? I don't know. Oh, it's a shame you can't sort that. That's quite frustrating. I wish you could. This one, so 0.2. Yeah, so this season here, in 2041, which is, I think, the season that they won the Europa Conference League that year, didn't they? He got a goal and an assist, 3 Player of the Match awards, an average of a 7.2 in the Premier League as well. Jack Charlie, Whitport legend. I mean, I don't know what more you want from the guy. That is superbness. I can't believe he actually stayed. He actually stayed at Whitport. He's a model professional personality as well. Was that? I swear he wasn't. I guess he must have got that over time, perhaps, spending so much time exposed to people like Simon Nelson. Oh, I can't believe it. He spent 14 years at Whitport. We signed him as a 15-year-old. And the fact that... Oh, hang on. Well, we can see a little bit more here, perhaps, potentially. So, won the Europa League. Europa Conference League with Whitport. He got his first England goal against Montenegro. He didn't win anything, though, with Whitport in this entire period until he left to go to Chelsea. So that suggests that Whitport actually stopped winning things, basically, which is sad. Don't get me wrong. It's very, very sad. It's wow. Inducted to England overall best 11. That's very, very impressive. I mean, what about this with Whitport? Team of the week, tons and tons and tons and tons and tons. What an absolute god. It's just super duper. Very, very pleased for him. Retired from playing with Chelsea there. He's done some stuff for Hamilton's reserves. Interesting. So, he's only been the reserves manager. He could potentially go on to do more things because he's actually only, 47 years old. Managerial stats aren't amazing, but the fact that Jack Charlie went on to become a bit of a Whitport legend. I don't know if he'll actually count as a Whitport legend, but to be at the club for 14 years, to actually put that kind of shift in, that makes me so happy. I feel like I would love it if Keith Abbott did the same thing. I think there's very, very little chance, given the amount of appearances that Matthias Uber was getting over that period. It stands to reason that Whitport probably binned off Keith Abbott to probably Southampton, let's face it, or Bournemouth, because that seems to be where we send all of our players. Or maybe it'll be Manchester City and then to Southampton or Bournemouth. But we will find out in due course, because next up, it's the captain of Whitport, Simon bloody Nelson. I hope he gets over 100 caps for Northern Ireland. He deserves it, but I get the feeling he won't be at Whitport for much long. Won't have been there for much longer. We'll see. Here he is, Simon Nelson. Okay. 143 caps for Northern Ireland, 23 goals. He finished his career at Lokomotiv Moscow, but he was at Whitport for 15 seasons. He stayed for a further 8 years after I left. That is very, very good. So I left here, and he just kept on playing. I guess it's because they sold Saliu Balde almost immediately, and as a result, Simon Nelson just immediately got his squad place back again, and he took it with open arms, to be fair. Like, can't really fault him. 2 goals, 3 goals, 1 goal, sort of fading away a bit towards the end, struggling to get in the game. But fair play to the guy. How much did he move for? It was a free transfer, I'm guessing. Wow. I mean, that's awesome. Let's see if he's actually won anything personally. That's weird. So yeah, nothing different than the other guys. That's weird. What is this? That's a strange one. I guess it's because with the club changing and all sorts of stuff. But regardless, Simon Nelson, retired at the age of 35, over 100 caps for countries, nearly 150 caps for his country as well. And a bit of a Whitport legend in his own right as well. That's cool to see that both Jack Charlie and Simon Nelson stayed. I feel like those are the type of players you really, really want to have stuck around. And the fact that he did stick around for as long as he did as well, like that's a good 7-8 years after I left that Simon Nelson persisted with being a Whitport player. And it looks to me that he left not because he wanted to go to bigger, better things, it's just that the club was trying to move him on at that point as he wasn't getting game time anymore. So I can totally respect Simon Nelson for doing that personally. So far, my two big club legends out of this have been Jack Charlie and Simon Nelson. They are standing out to me as being big legends. One of my first ever model citizen players I've actually managed to find organically in terms of the fact that they're not real players that have that personality, i.e. someone that's just come up and we've noticed that he's got a model citizen personality. So that's really, really cool because there are obviously a few model citizens like Diego Raposo, but you already know that's what they are at the start of the game. So that's Simon Nelson. Big ledge. Michael Lee next. So here he is, Big Mike. Also, the reason for the no webcam today is that it just made no sense really for me to have my face on the screen because, yeah, you know what I mean? There's no real point. So, Preston North End, that much we knew. Went to Boston, that was during the save. And actually, his career didn't last that much longer, but he was from the very early days of the save, in fairness to him. Did okay for Boston United, did okay for Woking. I assume he maybe would have won some lower league stuff, perhaps, potentially. Promotions there. League One champions as well, actually, with Preston North End, but that was, again, during the save. I didn't notice he won that. And he won the stupid trophy no one cares about as well. Not bad. To be fair, to the latter stages of his career, he was still given a decent shift for Woking. Now, what league Woking were in is a very different matter, but it's nice that Michael Lee didn't just immediately retire when he left. He was such a versatile player. I really did enjoy Michael Lee. He was Dave Morton before Dave Morton was Dave Morton, as far as the backup on that side, basically. That's the way I look at it. Right, next up is Keith Abbott, and then Dave Morton. So, Keith Abbott, this is huge. Please, I don't think he would have stayed. I reckon my prediction for Keith Abbott is that either he moves to a middling side and just kind of is like an absolute don for someone else, or he takes a massive move and then has to drop all the way back to one of the same sides when he would have been better off just staying at Whitport. Let's check it out. Well, he's the assistant manager at Norwich, so he's actually gone into management too. This could be either good or bad. Let's see it out. He wasn't there long, was he? Hang on. Keith Abbott never got an England cap. Are you joking? Sorry, Keith Abbott never got a cap for England. We sold him to Ipswich Town. I'm in shock at that. He felt like, to me, with the way that he was developing over that period, as young as he was and getting all the game time that he was, as though he was going to become an absolute G. Like, okay, he wasn't going to be world class, but he was consistently being rated as 5-star potential, even towards the end of our save. He was never wavering from it, still looking brilliant, increasing his star rating every day. And I know it's not all down to that, but that to me is usually a good sign that he's going to be something excellent. And he just seems to have never quite reached it. So this was my last season here. Following season, he played a little bit, same amount of times, but slightly worse, and then slightly worse again, and then slightly worse again. Maybe the new manager didn't know how to use him. It would appear that he was just stuck behind Matthias Uber, and the new manager just would not let him out from underneath that. And he eventually sold to Ipswich in the Championship for 10 million quid. And 3 very average. I mean, first season at Ipswich was probably his best season of his career, to be fair to the lad. But then he sort of struggled a little bit more. And eventually somehow that earned him a 20... So he clearly did have the talent. I feel like Leicester City buying him for £23 million suggests to me that he definitely had some quality. Because then he came straight back up to the Premier League with Leicester, and again was fine, I guess, is the best way to describe it. And then moved to Everton in the Championship. Okay, well, that's something we can have a look at. For one season, he spent at Everton in the Championship, couldn't do anything, and they moved him on to Basel for the rest of his career, where, ironically, he actually had the best season of his entire career in his first season in Switzerland, and seemed to really find his feet there. But that's a shame. That is a massive shame. Let's just check out his actual career after that. So he then went to Partick Thistle, because of course he did, to get his licenses and whatnot, was then the under-18s assistant at Greenock Morton, then somehow became the hang on, what the hell? He went from Greenock Morton assistant he was the under-18 assistant manager at Greenock Morton, and then Man United were like, yes, that feels like the right transfer for us, let's bring him in. That is nuts. The fact that he went from, wait, what? Oh, right, okay, so that's, yeah, oh, I see, it's individual breakdowns. So yeah, he was at Manchester United for 5 years as well, then took a little break from that, and was then at Southampton for a year. Then he actually was caretaker manager of Southampton as well. That's incredible. Did he actually have any matches in charge? And then we can actually see that, can't we? Where do we see that information? Oh no, I don't think we can. I don't think he ever actually took charge of a match as the caretaker at Southampton. Although, isn't that literally what a caretaker manager does? I thought it did anyway. I thought a caretaker manager was literally to be in charge of matches. Because I thought that you didn't need a caretaker unless you had games. So, but there's no actual, like, managerial stats down here, so maybe they didn't actually put... Maybe he was appointed caretaker, but then they appointed a new manager before he actually got a chance to be the caretaker for that long. How long was he actually caretaker manager for? 8 days. So perhaps in that period, yeah. We will have a look at that. We'll have a look and see what happened with Southampton at that point. So, actually, no, let's do it now. So 60-64. We'll have a look at Southampton. It's literally last year. So we'll just take a look at Southampton. We were 11th in the Premier League, by the way. So let's just check out their managers now. I want to just see what happened with this. So Ivan Lopez was sacked in November. Keith Abbott was appointed as the caretaker manager before Nick Harris took over. The only thing I can think of is that Southampton just didn't have any games in that period between the 1st of January 2064 and the 21st of January. I know this is like doing like detective shit, but it means that he was so close to actually taking charge of a match. Emerson Hyman was also manager of Southampton too, so make of that what you will. Wow, they've had a lot of managers. God damn it, man. Right, okay, let's just quickly take a look at their schedule. We can do that sort of thing, you see. So it would have been... Oh, well, there you go. Blackhaven, still in the Premier League. And Whitport as well. So that's good news. So what was I looking at? It was sort of around about here. Yeah, it looks like the guy was sacked after the Spurs game, which they lost. And then, hilariously, yeah, the new manager was in place directly for the Whitport game. So there you go. Keith Abbott was that was amazing. Keith Abbott was a day away from managing his only game in management as the manager against Whitport. So that's kind of cool. At least he actually did something with his career. Like, I don't know what happened with this. This is bizarre. I kind of figured that him and Jack Charlie would be on very similar trajectories, but how wrong was I? My God. Though, to be fair, the game never rated Abbott as a wonder kid. It did with Charlie. But then we kind of already knew that just from the fact that he was 15 and that good already. But I'm sad for Keith. I feel like he could have had more, perhaps, had the manager after me, whoever that might have been a little bit more sensible with him, because I feel like he might have misused him a little bit. So, next up, it's Davey Morton. Big old Dave Morton. And here he is, retired at the age of 34. He was at Whitport. Yeah, it makes sense that he would have left. Eventually, I think he just wanted football, basically. Went to Genk for £4.3 million. Was there for 6 seasons. Sort of struggled towards the end, but that's fine. He was a god for Whitport. As you can see, towards the end, struggled to get the appearances, but he was just so consistent, particularly in that season there. I don't even know what league that was in, but 12 league goals for Dave Morton. He was just so reliable. Bit of a cult hero at the club. I just enjoyed the shit out of Dave Morton. He was great. League One Player of the Year, champions of League One, champions of the Championship, won the Europa Conference and the Europa League with us. The FA Cup runner-up, of course, yeah. So he's won some stuff. Dave Morton has won things in his career, and that's all we can be thankful for. Fair play. Congratulations, Dave. He finished off his career in Belgium, had a lovely time, and that's what really matters. Next up, though, it's Curtis Thomas, who sadly retired after leaving Whitport because this game hates me. Oh, dear. So he retired at 29. Bearing in mind, this is a guy that left... This is literally a guy that left Whitport when they were in the Premier League, and yet he retired after that. Like, that to me doesn't make any sense. To be released from a Premier League side at the age of what? I don't know how old he would have actually been. It just... Surely a club would have picked him up in that period. It's just frustrating, but there you go. Particularly as he was so good in that period for Whitport. 103 league goals for Whitport. I don't know if Wynn Billington even ever got close to that. At the time of me finishing this save, I'm fairly certain that Curtis Thomas was still Whitport's record league goal scorer. But we'll find out when we actually get to Wynn Billington, because it stands to reason Wynn wouldn't have made that many more goals for us. Obviously, that record would have been broken now, but still, what a legend Curtis Thomas was during that early part of this save. His goal scoring in these 3 seasons here, with 30, 29, and 25, were nuts. Like, what an absolute god. I have a lot of love for Curtis Thomas. Won a lot of things with us as a player, particularly just going up the leagues. These are the players that matter the most in these sort of saves, the ones that get you there. That spell he had where he just, everything he touched turned to goal, despite the fact that he wasn't even that good. His finishing was like, what, 6 or 7 or something? It wasn't very good, but he was just the perfect pressing forward. The guy just did work. He got through everything. Fair play to CT. Still a Whitport legend in my heart, of course. So, next up, Ben Johnson, another of these types of players. Right above that is the BJ Foundation. So Ben Johnson retired at the age of 34, so he actually did carry on playing. But Curtis Thomas couldn't. Okay. So yeah, he left Whitport eventually in 2030, but he had a very illustrious career, yet again, in Scotland, particularly with Raith Rovers, or Roth Ravers, I should say. Was at Partick Thistle. I wonder if him and Marcolini crossed ties. I don't think they would have done, not quite. But he was very good for Raith Rovers. Look at this. What a legend. 5 goals, 9 goals for Raith Rovers. I don't know what league that would have been in, but still, that's a very good spell of games. The fact that he's got 26 league goals for Race Rovers in that period is very, very solid. I mean, his record for them is actually better than it was for us. And that's saying something, because generally speaking, players tend to underscore when they leave you, for the most part. Occasionally you'll get the odd outlier, but generally speaking, players seem to score more when they're in your tactics. It may just be that... Actually, I don't know why that is. It just seems like that's the case anyway. But regardless, Ben Johnson, decent in the end. Finished at Dumbarton, had a couple of years there. Nicely done, my friend. Nicely done. Right, next up is Kayo. I hope he's done well. I feel like he was being wanted by massive sides, so he has to, but I bet he's left for one of them. So here he is. Wow. He retired at the age of 39. I think the most disappointing thing about him is that he only got 2 Brazil caps, both of which I'm fairly certain he got during that final season for us. And he went to Milan. What happened? What the hell happened? He wasn't even here for that long. £15 million? Oh no, it was a loan spell at Milan. What on earth? I had an £84 million bid for Kayo from Bayern Munich. £84 million. And yet... we ended up loaning him to Inter Milan. Who the hell did we buy that was better than Kayo? And then he went to Lille for £12 million. Only got 30 goals in 124 for them as well, before going to Troyes and then to Paris FC. I mean, that is just outrageous to me, quite frankly. So this was his final season with us, to be fair. Didn't do that well, only got 9 goals. The next year, 10. 21 was his crowning achievement. And then the final season, that's not even that bad. Then he did what appears to be 3 spells on loan at Inter. Surely that wasn't 3 consecutive loan spells at Inter. But it does kind of look it, doesn't it? Unless it was like a loan with an option to buy in there. You know, Lille, 12 goals here, 14 there. Paris FC. I mean, it's cool that he played for Paris FC, don't get me wrong, but that's just frustrating. Did he win anything? He did win Serie A and the Italian Cup with Inter. So I guess there's that. And he also won the World Cup. Wow, he actually won the World Cup with Brazil. That one time where he got 2 caps for them, he won the World Cup and retired at the age of 39. For a striker, that's actually pretty impressive. Didn't really win anything with Whitport, obviously, or anything with Lille or Troyes or Paris FC. A weird career, I'd have to say. Right, next up, Kane Mclean. And wow, 146 caps for Scotland. Kane Mclean, I always knew there was something sexy about Kane Mclean, and he was there for a while. Oh my God, look at his career. He was old when he's actually only 36. That's still very impressive, though, from old Kane Mclean. I did always like him, and he was there for a while, too, at Whitport. It wasn't like he just stuck around for no reason. He was clearly playing regularly for us on that right-hand side, which does make me wonder what happened to Abolgin if Kane Mclean was making this many appearances for us over the next sort of 5 or 6 years. But there you go. So what happened? He eventually joined Benfica for £16 million, which is actually more than we bought him for. And then joined Spurs. We don't know how much for. Then came to Bristol City. Let's just see. How many appearances was he making for Whitport? Yeah, he was stacking them up. So he was started off with a lot of appearances. Then it dropped down a little bit. And I think this must have been when Abolgin left. And then all of a sudden, Whitport just went straight back to Kane Mclean. And he was just a complete stalwart there, regularly playing. And then maybe they bought someone new. I don't know. Either way, though, Benfica did quite well. In fact, very well. 4 goals in one season for him. Spurs couldn't quite cut it. Bristol City never scored again after that point. But still, the fact that he got nearly 150 appearances for his country is insane. What did he win? He won the Carabao Cup with Spurs. He won the league with Spurs, amazingly. FA Cup, Champions League, and UEFA Super. So this guy won the Premier League, FA Cup, and Champions League in the same season. He did the treble with Spurs when he was, well, I mean, when he was like 32 years old, after coming back from a little spell in Portugal, he then goes and wins the treble with Spurs. I think if anyone deserves that, the shifts he put in, Kane Mclean deserves to have won the treble. The guy's a Champions League winner and a Scottish legend. So big up Kane Mclean. Really, he's the sort of guy that should be Scotland manager in one of my saves. But there you go. What a legend. That's actually really nice to see that came. It's a shame he didn't go back to Scotland to finish his career. But still very, very nice. Right, next, Kai Knight. Not much to say about Kai Knight other than that, obviously, he retired, fairly young in the save as far as like literally a couple of seasons after we finished the save. So he was at Grimsby, then he went to Doncaster. Not really much more to say about Kai Knight beyond that, really, other than that he was very, very good for us. 28 goals he scored for us. He was a centre-back. Next up, Raul Costa. Okay. 106 caps for Romania. 36 he retired at. And what a career he had as far as like the number of clubs he's played for in his life. Whew, look at this. So eventually he left Whitport. I mean, he barely played for us, to be fair, but then went to Leicester City. How much did he move to Leicester City for? It doesn't actually say. Might have been a free transfer, to be fair. So there is that. Did a little spell out on loan of Sporting Gijón from Leicester City. I think that's another spell at Galatasaray on loan. But then it earned him, eventually, despite barely play. Oh, he had this little breakout bit here. that was probably the one season that really earned him that move, it would seem. 36 games for Leicester City, probably in the Premier League. Eventually moved to Real Betis, although it could have been Championship, I suppose. Was decent for Betis after a little while. He was solid there. Eventually then moved over to Poland for a little spell. Did all right. And eventually, who the hell is that? Is that back in Romania again? I think it is, isn't it? Yes. So he eventually moved back to Sepsi over in Romania to finish off his career. So that's nice. At least he finished his career in Romania. It sort of came full circle for Raul Costa. It's nice that he actually sort of, it came out, did well, wasn't with us in the end, but still had a solid career, particularly at Betis. That seems to be the part where he really flourished. And yeah, the only thing he really won in his career was the Europa Conference League, in fact, with us. Didn't even get a Europa League winners medal, sadly. I think he must have not played enough appearances that year. But he did win the Europa Super Cup, and that's important. Next up, Marvin Rodella. Or Rodella. No, he's Rodella because he's Italian. 34 years old he was when he retired. He was actually at Whitport for a while. Didn't quite break through as perhaps the way we would have hoped. I think he went on loan to Swansea for a year. Did well, though. Milan, and eventually Brighton. I mean, that is something else. So, yeah, he had a loan spell at Swansea, did very, very well. Couldn't quite really replicate that form at Whitport, and neither could he at AC Milan, rather. But when he came to Brighton, look at this. 12 goals and then 15 goals in a league season for Brighton and Hove Albion. Remember, he's a right-sided player. He's a right winger. That four-year spell for Brighton, or really, if you think about it, just this 3-year spell, where he bashes in, 35 goals in 3 seasons from right wing. That's exceptionally good. I'm surprised he actually didn't earn an Italian cap during that period if he was that good. But hey, he looks like he's a bit of a Brighton legend in many ways. 10 years at the club, an incredibly large amount of goals for them. 46 Premier League goals for Brighton is pretty damn good, to be fair. And the fact that he just never really was able to do it at Whitport. He was there for 5 years and only got 4 goals. Did 1 year on loan at Swansea in the next 5. He clearly was waiting to pounce, so to speak, as far as he goes. But fair play to the lad. So next up is Fran. This might be a difficult one to find. Never mind, we found him. So here he is. Never got a game for Spain in the end, bless him. Was at Whitport at least for a few more seasons before moving to Arsenal and then PSV Eindhoven. A strange sort of a run of games, but I assume it's because he started to drop off for Whitport. I mean, to be fair, he certainly played a lot for Arsenal, which certainly suggests that perhaps Whitport were better than Arsenal in this period. Then again, Whitport were better than Arsenal when I left the save as well. Eventually went to Eindhoven for... How much did he move to Arsenal for? Maybe even a free transfer in the end? He spent time on loan at Arsenal. Was that 3 loan spells at Arsenal then? Maybe it was. Maybe it was. Did he win anything beyond that? Not... Oh, no, yeah. Europa League Conference. So he'd actually won the Conference League with Whitport in 2039. Did a few years on loan at Arsenal, it would appear, though maybe there was a buy option in there as well, before finishing off his career over in Spain at PSV Eindhoven, in the Netherlands at PSV Eindhoven. Right, George Jimmy. I think this guy would have played for the best. I feel like he was a world-class talent. And 185 caps for the Netherlands, retired at the age of 36, retired at staff at the age of 50, so that's something to have a look at as well. That's weird. So he was actually at Whitport for a while. That's good. I'm glad. He stayed at Whitport till 2042. And I'm guessing that's part of the reason that... once again, no transfer fee. Very annoying. I guess that's part of the reason that Whitport did so well in that period, is that they still had probably one of the best playmaking players in the world. So that might have been contributing to it somewhat. It's a shame you can't see his assist record, but you can see that from here onwards, he started to... 8 goals. 6, 8. Now, it depends on what formation they were playing, sure. But the fact that George Jimmy was chipping in with that many goals, that the lowest amount of goals he got in a season in the league was 4. And he only ever did that once. He mostly got 6s, 7s, 8s. United as well. He got 9 one season for United as well. So annoying we can't see any transfer figures about this one, which is frustrating. It might be because of the staff thing. Sometimes that messes things up. What did he win? European Golden Boy. Wow, he won European Golden Boy while he was at Utrecht. He won the Community Shield with Man United, the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup. He won the Italian Cup, the Supercoppa. Oh no, he became runner-up in the Italian Cup when he was at Inter. So, oh no, he wouldn't have crossed paths with Caio, would he? That would have been much too late. But to get nearly 200 caps is nuts. What about staff history? So he was the director of football at Cittadella for 2 years. Like almost 6 years after he stopped playing, and then he was just like, nah, can't be bothered, bad. So there we go, George Jimmy. Yeah, okay, so we were right about Jimmy. He was a solid player. He was a very, very good player. I want to see if... Who was the other guy we had? Oh, Mike Nielsen. I want to see if he had the same kind of trajectory, because I felt like he was another like world-class star potentially. Next up, Andrea Buffo. Now, obviously, Buffo, we don't really care that much about. We sold him off to China. He spent 10 years in China and made 350 appearances. So as long as he had a nice time out there, that's what matters. That's Andrea Buffo. Rulashka's a weird one. Did eventually get 30 caps. Now, selling him to Krasnodar, I always felt like he'd be the type of player that would come back, but at the time, this was obviously because we sold him just before we got the whole Clive Kimberley thing happen to us again. So that was a frustrating one. Eventually, literally, like a year later, comes straight back to the Premier League with West Ham for less money than they spent on him. So there's that. And then he joined Southampton for £25 million. Then Sevilla for £37 million. And he even played for Rangers in there too. The guy was all over the shop. Didn't score many goals though. He was certainly not the goal-scoring type of playmaker. He very much made the plays rather than finished the plays, it would seem. Krasnodar, yeah, I mean, it's solid season. Southampton was probably his best spell as like that season there with his 2 goals. And Sevilla, I mean, that earned him that move to Sevilla essentially, and he's had Valladolid, Rangers, Young Boys towards the end. I assume he's won a ton of stuff though. He won the Copa del... No, he was runner-up in the Copa del Rey with Sevilla. Won the Scottish Cup a couple of times. He did win the Premiership in Scotland. So, and the Betfred Cup runners-up a few times as well. So he's won a couple of Scottish Cups. He's won the Scottish Premiership, though. So that's always nice to see. So, moving on. What else we got? We got Villalba. Oh, I want to see what happened to him. Here he is. Hector Villalba. Okay. Oh, no, he did come back to Whitport. So basically, he got some caps for Argentina during that final season. And I was like, excellent, we'll finally get a work permit for him. Obviously, we didn't get a chance to do that. But, wow, he really was just very disparate. So he was on loan at Wolfsburg, Porto. Presumably, he did another loan spell to go to Valencia. Yeah, it went to Valencia. And then did play a couple of seasons for Whitport in between there. That was obviously when he got his... he finally got his work permit after the Valencia spell. 2 years at Whitport, finally got some game times out of him. And to be fair, we didn't exactly pay a lot of money for this guy. So the fact that he then moved to Real Madrid for £50 million, we got 10 times the money we paid and barely played for him as well in that entire period too. Then he joined Wolves for £12 million, like literally 2 years later. Did all right for Wolves as well. That must have been in the Championship though, so Wolves must have got relegated, surprisingly. Then went to Young Boys for a bit, and then finished off his career back in Argentina with Lanús. That's nice to see. I'm glad he at least got his work permit eventually and managed to get something for Whitport in that period, even if it wasn't straight away. Right, Frode Schotter next. Retired at 35, 66 caps for Norway, 8 goals as well. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. He went to PSG. He went to PSG. Now, we sold him to... Oh, did we sell him to PSG? Wait, no, did I sell him to PSG? Oh, I did, didn't I? Of course, yeah. Because he went on loan to Celta Vigo. I then sold him off to PSG, but he did literally never play for them. And then he went to join... Wow, he played in the MLS for most of his career. That is a huge spell of games in the MLS. He was in the MLS for like 13 seasons before finally going over to Qatar to finish off his career over there and get a little bit of extra cash towards the very end. Dead on 500 appearances for his career as well. What did he win? League runners-up with LAFC. League Cup winners. He won the Champions League, though. The CONCACAF Champions League with LAFC. So that's pretty impressive, actually. So fair play to the lad. Not too bad on his front there. Right, let's do Aboljan next. Alfredo Aboljan. When did he leave Whitport? Wow, he left Whitport very quickly. He was only here for 2 seasons. How much did we pay for him? Wow, we literally lost money on him. £63 million eventually was the deal to move to Real Madrid. So yes, we got massively screwed on that one. I lost a lot of money. Well, 20-odd million pounds, which is quite a lot, I suppose. Played a lot regularly for him. Did actually get 3 goals one season for him as well, though, before eventually joining Real Sociedad. I assume he's won everything. I mean, yes, just an absolute buttload of wins. Won the UEFA Super Cup with us. That's about it. Yeah, loads of Spanish league titles, Copa del Rey's, probably Super Cups in there as well. I don't think there is a Spanish League Cup, so not that. Oh dear. Whitport, what are you doing? Mike Nielsen, 167 caps for Denmark, 36 years old he retired at. He did not last that long here, in fact. Wait, what? Why did it say 2024? What happened here? Oh, he went to Chelsea. Literally the very first summer as well. To be fair, that isn't surprising me at all. I want to make sure they got the right price for him, though. £94 million. Right, okay, so I was getting lots of news articles towards the end of the save talking about how Chelsea were preparing to make a £90-odd million bid for Mike Nielsen, and it appears that they did exactly that. £94 million Nielsen moved for. How much did we pay for? £9 million. We literally... 10 times our money and more we got back off of that. But frustrating still, because he looks like he went on to have one hell of a career. In fact, he's won Premier League titles, he's won everything. He's actually won the Euros as well with Denmark. Although that's not a huge surprise in a way, because Denmark actually won the World Cup on the stream save. So they've clearly got something, and that was during... They still had real players in their team during that as well. So Watford as well on loan. He was at Chelsea for a long time, I think. It would appear that he basically spent the rest of his career at Chelsea before the move to Watford. That seems to be his last big change. So, I mean, this landmarks is going to be enormous, isn't it? I can just feel it. So, at Chelsea, he's won FA Cups, Champions Leagues, in fact, won 2 Champions Leagues. He's won... There's a lot of, like, superfluous crap in here, too, in fairness. A Spanish title, a Spanish league. Yeah, just he's won everything you can imagine on both club and domestic levels. He's won 2 different league titles in different countries. He's won the Champions League multiple times. He's won cups in both countries as well, I think. Community Shield, maybe not. No, actually, no, I don't think he has. Oh, no, he has. He's won the Carabao Cup, I suppose. And he's won everything. Mike Nielsen, what a legend. But seems most of these legends didn't do it with Whitport, which is a real shame. It does appear that Whitport, they were fine for a few seasons, but once it got to the early 2040s, they just hit their peak and just sort of started dropping like a stone at that point, which is kind of a shame, isn't it, really? Kenny Barber. Now, the reason I'm interested in Kenny Barber is because this is a guy that Bournemouth bought off of us. Well, he was a youth player that I wasn't particularly interested in. Bournemouth bought him off of us for £5 million, just randomly one summer. And then there was also a clause that they ended up paying us like another 3 or 4 million. So we got nearly 10 million from this guy. And he did go on to play a lot for Bournemouth over a 20-year period. But it was just very strange how much they paid for this guy at the time, when it didn't look like he was going to be that good. And, okay, he looks like he's turned out to be a bit of a club legend for them, so I can't really fault them on that one, can I? Regis Matondo only got 45 caps for the Netherlands. 35 years old in the end. He retired at. Was at Whitport for a good few seasons, was sort of around for some of our best years towards the end of the decade. Then went to Wolves for... How much did he go for? Oh, he was on loan at Wolves, and eventually joined Saint-Etienne for £8 million. Hey, he can't have been on loan at Wolves for 4 seasons, surely. There must have been I wish this biography thing worked a bit better. I'm sure I'm maybe just misinterpreting it, but it's like, also spent time on loan at Wolves. Okay, but presumably he also moved there permanently, otherwise he wouldn't have been there for 4 years. But, okay, that's just how it goes. What about his landmarks? Did he win anything at anyone else? No, he won promotion with Wolves, so as we suspected, Wolves were in the Championship at one point. So I felt like Matondo had like big energy, like he was going to win some serious shit, to be fair. He did win the Europa League. Oh, no, he didn't. Oh, no, he won the Europa Conference League with Whitport. I get the feeling that that's the only trophy Whitport have won since we left. So, to be fair, winning another European Cup is actually very impressive, but I had my hopes higher than that, I guess, but it's always difficult to expect what to expect at that point. Right, Russell Griggs, 36 years old. He left Whitport to go to Preston North End. And, to be fair, he's bloody smashed it there. 8 years there. He was with Whitport for 11 seasons. Did he play that many more games for us after I left, though? Actually, he... Not really, no. He got like 4 one season, 1 and 1. He was basically just playing backup to Jerry Ellison. That's not in any way a shock. Went into Preston, though, and just completely rejuvenated his career and smashed it for the rest of his time. But at the end of the day, what a bloody god. Russell Griggs. Fair play to the lad. So then there's Luke Watson. Wow, look at that. Oh, got himself a lovely little beard there. 34 years old, eventually he retired at. I love that he went on loan to Cyprus randomly one season. So he was with us for a little while. We sold him to Middlesbrough in the end, and then eventually went to Ipswich Town. There's not really much more you can say about that, I suppose. What was his staff history like? He did manage Morecambe for 3 seasons, and then hung up his boots after that. He was like, nah, not having it, bruv. Just couldn't do it. Although 3 seasons there isn't too bad. I don't suppose he won anything in that period, it would appear, but we'll have a look. He was runners-up in the Builder-Based Trophy for Morecambe. So that isn't too bad, I guess. It's Regan Booty. After going from Whitport, he went to Charlton for a couple of years, and that's basically about it. I didn't expect much for him, but you never know. I thought maybe there was some magic. It's Lloyd Veldwijk. 17 caps for the Netherlands in the end. He got about a bit. Atalanta on loan, with a permanent option, I think it was as well. And then Villa, Sociedad, Levante, Espanyol, Lokomotiv Moscow, Panathinaikos. He got about a bit. My goodness. Jesus, he really did. I'm surprised he was able to play that much, considering how injured he was all the time. He only won 2 things, which was both with us. And, wow. German Players Newcomer of the Year award. That would have been with Stuttgart, though, back in his early days of his career. At the end of the day, he certainly ended up making a lot of appearances, despite perhaps never quite reaching the heights that I'd expected from him. But I think the injuries has just held him back so damn much. The amount of times I got notifications while he was on loan at Atalanta about him getting injured. But it does seem that he may have got that under control a little bit. But there's a lot of seasons here where he's having like very low appearances. Now, obviously, that could just be because he was out of favour. But I do wonder if it was because of injuries and whatnot. So there we go. Right, next up, it's Wynn Billington. This is a big one. 34 years old. He went about a bit. Oh, he got 99 league goals for Whitport in the end. And it looks like he left that summer. 17 appearances for Wales and 7 goals for him for Wynn Billington. Oh, that's such a shame. He couldn't quite get 100 goals in the league for Whitport, which means Curtis Thomas definitely stayed the top scorer in the save at that point. I know Wynn Billington outscored him in all competitions, but not in the league. So, because obviously Wynn Billington had that amazing season in the Europa Conference League, didn't he? So, what even happened then? Started his career at... Doesn't look like it to me. Okay, sure. Maybe that was a youth situation. So, went to Whitport, joined Whitport. What happened here? He joined Stade Rennais. We don't know how much for, possibly a free transfer in all honesty. Went to Lokomotiv Moscow. Didn't appear to actually move for a transfer fee at any point during his entire career, did he, bless him? And he didn't exactly light the turf up in these matches as well. For Stade Rennais, he was only able to muster 2 goals over 3 seasons. And for Lokomotiv Moscow, it did improve slightly, but not much. And he didn't score a single goal for the Knights that say Nîmes. Wow. Okay, so his career, he just couldn't quite muster it. He had those 2 amazing seasons for Whitport in I think it was League One and the Championship. It might have been both in League One, actually, as it goes, where he got 34 goals and then 28 the next season. 15 in his first season in the Premier League as well. Then 13, which was pretty solid too. Had that season where he didn't score at all, but then he got 8 the next year. And then in the final season of the save, of course, he got that 1 goal against Crystal Palace in that 4-2 win, which was a very important goal at the time. So fair play to the lad. Wynn Billington didn't quite hit the heights that perhaps we would have hoped, but at the end of the day, I don't think we were particularly expecting him to do that well when he left Whitport, to be fair, when he could barely get in the team as it was. Omar Afghan, wow, he got 130 caps for Morocco. 36 years old, and he went to the Houston Dynamo from us and then just stayed there, just racking up the caps. So, hey, well done, Omar. Next up, Dennis Somlet. Wow, he retired at 39 years old. 80 caps for Romania and 44 goals is not bad at all. So where was it? Yes, he joined... Wow, look at his record for Leipzig. Jesus. Okay, the guy was quality. We made the right choice in signing him. He joined... How much did we pay? 4 million, and we sold him to Leipzig for 44 million pounds. And look at his record at Fiorentina. That wasn't bad either, to be fair. But this is ridiculous. 181 league goals in 291 games is ridiculous. Let's see how many he actually was getting in these seasons. So, Fiorentina, 14 goals was not bad. Came back to Whitport, scored a few goals. Now, that last season at Whitport, 12 goals and 25 isn't bad. But then, he just set the world alight by going to Germany. 16 goals that season, then 18, then 23 goals in 34 matches, then 20 and 31, 17 and 27, 23 in 33 as well, 31 in 34. That is a nuts season. One of the greatest striking seasons I've seen on one of my looking forward series, to be fair. Then it sort of tailed off a little bit amazingly. Went to Palace possibly on loan for a year. Came back to Fiorentina amazingly, and eventually finishes off his career. But he scored 261 goals in his career. He was lethal going forward. He looks like he could be one of the best strikers ever for us if we'd actually managed to get him into the team more and actually... I don't know, he just never really looked great for me a lot of the time, but maybe it was just because he was so young. And to be fair, he did play on for a very long time, to the age of 39 years old. He had a playing career that lasted 23 seasons. That's pretty solid. What did he win? Yeah, he won the Champions League twice. He won the Europa League twice. He won top goal scorer, runner-up. He probably won European Champions Cup Golden Boot. He won everything, basically, as a player. He might have the most illustrious career of any player in this save, and particularly as he never played for one of the #big clubs, per se. But he did it all while playing for Leipzig, or clearly are a massive club in this save. But still, the fact that he did that without ever actually leaving to go to a Barcelona, Man City, Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, etc., etc., that's kind of cool. Pleased for him. Clive Kimberley time, lads. What do we happen? Oh, thank God. Part of me thought that he was going to end up playing for Blackhaven at some point. He stayed at Norwich for 3 seasons. Wow, he only made 20... Oh, Clive, you silly boy. So, that is glorious. So, we sold Clive to Norwich. Well, actually, we had no choice but to sell Clive to Norwich for £54 million. He lasted 3 seasons, made 27 appearances, and then they sold him for £4.4 million to Nantes, who then, I think, might have loaned... No, actually, permanent deal to Lyon. His career literally... He ended up playing in Kazakhstan. My man literally never recovered after choosing to leave Whitport to go to Norwich City. Clive, you get what you deserve, you bell piece. That is delightful. It's crazy how well he did in a very limited amount of times for Whitport. Like, he scores 15 goals for us in the league, despite only playing for 3 seasons, in a deep-lying role. The guy was a god when he played well, but his attitude was the problem. It's as simple as that for old Clive, to be fair. Well, you get what you deserve, Clivey. I mean, he barely played for them that season, and then just didn't at all. So Beñat Ramos, okay, he got around a little bit. We sold him to Palace. Or was that a loan spell? No, we sold him to Nantes, and to be fair, he played most of his career there. Eventually went back to Palace again for a season, Dynamo Kiev, and then Rostov right at the very, very end of his career. Although, actually, no, it would appear that, yeah, that was fine. So mostly was loan. Oh no, £20 million to Palace. And then, wow, he was still getting transfer fees all the way up till here. Very strange. I thought these were just loan spells, but no, apparently not. Right, now it's time for the Wizard. 35 years old. He retired as a player. Oh, he went on to some big things. 90 caps for Poland, 23 goals. He joined Paris Saint-Germain for £67 million. Which is actually kind of frustrating because the guy was a god. And then he joined Liverpool for £35 million. So we still made a profit on the deal because I paid 43. So we have 24 million on the deal. But I wish he would have stayed. He was shortlisted for the Ballon d'Or. I don't know when. We'll find out when we have a look at that. But that really should tell you all you need to know about the Wizard. What was he like after I left? So this was the final season where he got 10 goals. And he actually did kind of struggle after. Oh, that was right at the beginning. I mean, look at his stats for PSG. 13, 11, 11. In his first 5 seasons at PSG, he only failed to break double figures once. And at Liverpool as well in the Premier League, 10 goals. Yeah, he was very good, wasn't he? Christ. He won the Champions League with PSG. He got into the Champions League runner-up with Liverpool. But the fact that he was shortlisted for the Ballon d'Or is nuts. That's how good of a player this guy was. Franz Sullivan. So, wow, he actually did quite well at Bursaspor in the end. Eventually went to Zortvargem towards the end of his career. But, fair play to Franzi. He had that one good year for Whitport with the 23 goals. And actually, these were pretty solid seasons too. Couldn't quite hack it towards the end, but look at that. First 3 seasons in Turkey, 15, 10, 12. Very, very nice. It's pleasing. I loved being a bit of Franz. He was the first time I'd ever actually had that a region player come out as gay on a save where the player actually is a player that isn't just some random youth player. It was a player that mattered to the squad. It was cool that it actually happened to a player that was relevant. So that was kind of awesome. Went over to Turkey, had a lovely time. Good old Franz. Ollie Pratt. Yes, I figured he would have left pretty soon. Went down under to Australia. Somehow did earn himself, though, 10 Northern Irish caps. Presumably as a result of his work at Sydney FC. I mean, he stayed there for 11 seasons. Technically, he won a Europa League as well. Fair play to Ollie Pratt. I guess he was in the squad, so that must have done it. But, yeah, he was one of those players that was just never going to be brilliant for us. But he stuck around longer than you would have imagined, actually. He was there for 7 years. Next up, Sam Vertill, the Czech international, of course, who we sold to Ajax for relatively large money. We still made a profit on him, and to be fair, he wasn't there long before he joined Leicester City. So Leicester City were hoovering up a lot of our cast-offs, it would seem. Didn't really win a great deal, though, it would seem, the rest of his career. Did get loads of caps for the Czech Republic, though, so you can't really fault him for that. How far are we? Oh, we're nearly getting towards the end here as well. Still a few more big names to come. Remy Lafarge is next. Only 31 caps for Belgium. That surprises me. I thought we were starting to see the awakening of him as a football... Well, another player that signed for Leicester. So, how did that happen then? What happened with him? He's been to all sorts of clubs. He went to Espanyol on a loan spell? Okay. Wait, he spent time on loan at Eintracht Frankfurt, Espanyol, Wolfsburg, Leicester, and Villarreal, West Ham, and Sporting Gijón. These were all on loan from Whitport. No. He can't have done. He was at Leicester for 9 years. I don't know. These screens are notoriously glitchy, it would seem. Went to Red Bull Salzburg for £11 million. He was decent-ish for Leicester. 30 goals. It's not amazing in 136 games when you consider he got 7 in 16 for us. He did look like he was starting to have a bit of a breakout towards the end of the final season of the Save, where he was just scoring for fun at times. I think he got more league goals than he had league appearances that season, which is pretty damn impressive. But he just never quite went on, which is a bit of a shame for old Rennie. Andreas Holzer never actually got a cap for... Austria. 35 years old he was when he retired. Wow. I mean, I don't know. I just kept loaning him out and hoping that he would eventually develop, and he just never really quite got there. Eventually spent a load of times in Melbourne City, though, in the G'day League. So I guess there's that. Good play. Good, well done, mate. Paul Tate next. Bit of a late hero. And in fact, Paul Tate is currently the caretaker manager of Rangers. Wow, he's been caretaker manager a lot, but he's also managed Partick Thistle and Chester. Was he in charge of Partick Thistle when Marcolini was there? I wonder. Caretaker manager. Wow, he's been around the block a bit as a manager. Finished his career at Galatasaray, Everton. Wow, this guy's been around. Oh, that's not what we want to see. But has he actually taken charge of games? He has. In fact, he has an 87% win ratio as a manager. He's only taken charge of 8 games in his career. Wait, hang on. Oh, that was at Rangers. Oh, no, of course not. What am I talking about? He's managed actual clubs for long periods of time. Idiot. So, yeah, was at Whitport for a good amount of time. Racked up a decent number of appearances. Had a really, really bad season here, though. Look at that. A 6.49 average rating over 17 games. Now, I'm guessing, yeah, as you can see here, it's from a lot of substitute appearances. But even so, went to Everton on a free transfer in the end. I liked Paul Tate. I think that season he had for us in his first year was sensationally good. He was a hero for us in the games against Barca, particularly, as it goes. Wow, he was only at PSG for one season in the end. I'll be damned. Went on loan to Levante and eventually joined Galatasaray on a free. Didn't really achieve all that much, but he's currently the caretaker manager of Rangers. He's managed in Scotland. You'll love to see it. So Mudlin Matala, 60 caps for Romania. Once he went to China, he never came back. 14 years in China eventually. To be fair, we did get £18 million for the deal, so I can't really be complaining too much. Neil Cross is next. How did Neil get on? Oh my giddy aunt. So he did eventually get just short of 30 caps for the Republic of Ireland. 9 goals. The Neil Cross moving to West Brom might be one of the worst transfers in a player's career ever. He was smashing goals in for Whitport. And then West Brom just triggered that clause. Oh, no, was it even a clause? I don't know. I think it was actually a clause or whatever. And we already had Wynn Billington smashing them in. And I was like, you know what? We could actually get away with this at this point. And look at that. He played a grand total of 4 times in 3 years for West Bromwich Albion. Did a good job on loan at Charlton. Look at 32 goals for Whitport in that season. I think that was in League One. I mean, he could have been a legend. He still played a lot of games. And to be fair, when he went over to the United States with Sporting Kansas City, where he was there for 10 years, 14 goals. That's literally a goal every other game. That's a really solid record. And eventually finished back at Waterford, which is nice. Came back to his home nation, I think home nation, anyway. And yeah, so the only thing he won in his career was League One with us. And top goal, yeah, it was League One top goal scorer on 2 seasons. In fact, that must have been this season as well then. That's actually quite impressive, considering he only got 18 that year. But there you go. That's life. Neil Cross, what could have been, eh? Demetrius, what the actual hell? I can't believe this. I am in shock, my friends. Dimitris Ropas. If you gave me a list of players, which I've now literally got to my left, and said, pick one of these that is going to be the most successful manager that you'll ever have in one of these saves, I would not have picked Dimitris Ropas. By the way, 150 caps for Greece. May have been a mistake to let this guy go. Let's check his actual stats out. So for Whitport, he could barely buy a goal. Went to Bologna for £2.2 million. Think about that. 2.2 million. And wasn't amazing, but then he did really start to crack out. 3 consecutive 10-goal seasons will do that for you. It encouraged Sevilla to buy him off of them for 30 million quid. First season, bam, 12 goals in the La Liga. Not bad for them as well. Second season, only 4, so he kind of struggled a bit there. And his final season, he actually did get 9 goals, and that encouraged Lazio to spend 17 million quid on him, and they got a grand total of 3 goals from him in that year. Went to Wolves, 6 goals. £6 million to Newcastle, 5 goals. Second season, 7 goals, slightly better. Went on loan to Olympiacos, back to his home country towards the end. Oh no, went permanently, in fact. But even in Greece, he couldn't really score that often. So that somehow set him up to be an absolute godlike manager, apparently. Sure. So after that, he became manager of Southend. What's the best one I have here? Trying to see. So finished 9th in League One with them. He didn't really do a lot there, but he was only there for like less than half a year, and then he somehow got the managership of Birmingham City in the Championship as a result of his work at Southend. He was really working his way up here, and then came 13th in the Championship with them, knocked out by Sheffield Wednesday in the 3rd round tie there, and then wasn't even there that long, like 6 months before he was picked up by Bologna, the club he used to play for. And I mean, looks like he didn't even manage to finish a full season at Bologna. But that doesn't appear to have been his fault. That looks like he himself... Well, no, he was sacked. Okay. Was he sacked to Birmingham? No, he left to go to Bologna from Birmingham. Picked up went to Aston Villa. Hang on a minute. Oh, no, Preston, that's a bit later, isn't it? Went to Villa for a little bit. What happened with him? Qualified for the playoffs, but lost in the playoffs. Finished 9th in the Championship in his first season. That somehow got in the Preston job, who, I don't know if they were in the Premier League or not at that time. It would appear that we don't actually get to find out because he didn't manage to complete a full season, as he was sacked. But then almost immediately hopped into the Sampdoria role. Came 15th in Serie A. And then somehow that made Newcastle be like, yes, we're going to go after this guy as well. Finished 17th in the Premier League. Kept them up, I suppose you could argue. I guess there's that. Didn't win anything more with that. I presume that means he was then sacked as Newcastle manager. But then 4 months later went to Hanover. He seems to do this thing where he won the second division of the Bundesliga. He won the Bundesliga Zweit with Hanover. So there's that. It seems like he does well at a club, is then poached by another side and then sacked. And then he does well at a club, is poached by another side and then is sacked. So then he left then to go to Arsenal. He won the Europa. Okay, so this is when things started to take off for him. I don't know why Arsenal then took. That's quite a plunge to go from Hanover to Arsenal, but sure, we don't know what Arsenal this was, but clearly it was something. He won the Europa Conference League with Arsenal while finishing 14th in the Premier League with them. That isn't even that bad. But luckily, they then sacked him anyway. And he then went to Borussia Mönchengladbach, finished 8th in the Bundesliga, and then was sacked as Borussia Mönchengladbach manager. Then went to Nottingham Forest, although he was actually here for 5 years. Okay, so this is a bit more like it from him. 9th in the Premier League, 4th in the Premier League. 4th in the Premier League. This guy got Nottingham Forest to finish 4th in the Premier League twice. First knockout round, was knocked out in the quarterfinals of the Champions League. He came second in the Premier League with Nottingham Forest. Okay, this sort of makes sense. He won the FA Cup for Forest. That is nuts. He knocked out Barcelona. I'm just excited to see this. Came 4th in the Premier League, so a little bit of a knockback there. Knocked out by Paris Saint-Germain in the quarterfinals again. Then knockout round again. What happened this season? Seems like it sort of took a bit of a dip there. Knocked out by Blackhaven, lol. Won against, so knocked out, won. So he was beaten by Spurs in the Champions League semi-finals. So he got Nottingham Forest to a Champions League semi. And then what happened? He was sacked. Because, what? What? He was sacked because he got knocked out of the Champions League semi-finals. Did they get a takeover? We'll have to take a look at that. Liverpool, where he currently is, what's he been like for Liverpool? We don't fully know yet, it would seem, but we will see where Liverpool actually are when it comes back to it. So, yeah, Dimitris Ropas, what a career. This is easily the most successful manager I've ever had, I think, on one of these looking forward series. And you wouldn't have expected it out of old Dimmy Ropas, really, would you? But, to be fair, he had a decent-ish playing career as well, but his managerial career is where it really took off. Amazing. Right, let's check out Matej Vukuripa. 36 years old, load of caps there. Eventually, after he went to Ukraine, went to Greece for a little bit. In fact, stayed in Greece for a while, actually, at AEK Athens. He then went to Atromitos and then Ionikos. Not too bad. Fair play to the lad. Next up, Flamarion. In fact, we're going to do Joe Bruce first, because Flamarion is the last one then. Joey Bruce. I mean, another player that played for a consistent period of time for Roth Ravers. You'll love to see it. Right, now, finally, let's do Flamarion. I want to see big things from my man Flammers. There's already a Flamarion at Crystal Palace right now. He's been reincarnate. Right, let's see what happened. 4 caps for Brazil. 36 years old he was when he retired. He eventually... Wow, he left us almost immediately to go to Borussia Mönchengladbach. That summer, in fact. For £14 million? What was Whitport doing, man? 14 million quid they paid. Literally, we gained less than £1 million on this deal. I was getting bids of 40-odd million for Flamarion that January. And yet, somehow they sell him in the summer for what on earth? AI transfers are so bizarre sometimes, man. So he went to Borussia Mönchengladbach for a bit, and then was solid for those first few seasons. Went to Dortmund for £32 million. Why couldn't have we got that money? Weird. Then to Wolfsburg on loan. He went to Grêmio back in Brazil, and then for some reason decided, you know what? I feel like I'm going to spend some time in Russia. So that is Flamarion. That is all the players that I've got on my list to look at. Now, obviously, there's still plenty more stuff to do. I realize we're nearly an hour and a half into me recording this. It'll be a bit short for you because I'll have edited some stuff out. Mostly me clearing my throat. Hopefully I managed to get them all. My throat has been horrendous this morning. Too much talking, mate. So, wow. What do we even look for here? I want to go through all the major competitions, but honestly, I think what you guys really want to see right now is what's happened to Whitport and Blackhaven. That's what you really want to see. So we're going to do that now. So Whitport Athletic, currently 8th in the Premier League. They're currently... Oh, yes. Bask in me. By the way, Ruben Neves, manager of the club currently, so make of that what you will. Whitport Athletic are playing in the Marvin Suarez Arena in Whitport, England. 35,000 capacity stadium. Oh, so nice. So nice. You love to bloody see it. I love that Ruben Neves is the manager as well, which is great. They've actually improved their youth and training facilities quite a lot, so that's promising. So I think the first thing we'll do is take a look at their... we have to use the drop down in order to get it, don't we? It's the league history and then here. So, when we left, final season, oh my lord. So, we came 3rd in our final season at the club, which was actually our highest finish ever. But then the following season, with whoever took over, we will look at that, do not worry, we came 9th. I mean, that's just bad, isn't it? Come on now. We got 84 points, which, let's face it, 84 is going to be the most they will ever get. I cannot believe we came fourth with 84 points. Got 6 less the following season and then came third. Classic. And we finished third by like 4 points as well that year. Weird. Slightly better the following season, though. Really good goal difference as it goes. Got 103 goals we scored. That was a nuts season. 7th place, though. Not bad. 9th place, kind of poor. But then this was the end of the decade. This sort of period here, Whitport were actually a solid team again. It was during this period that we won the Europa Conference and the Europa League in successive seasons and got to the FA Cup final in the same year. I'm guessing this season here was a big one for us because qualifying for the Champions League again was seemingly somewhat of a rarity for Whitport at this point. But at least they appear to have stayed in the Championship, stayed in the Premier League the entire time, which is surprising actually, if I'm honest. So 5th, a 6th, a nice 5th place with 74 points. That was actually more than they finished 4th with, amazingly. Had another one of those type of seasons, it would seem. And then another one up here, it would also appear. 12th place, though, the following year really did drop off. And then, I mean, back up to 5th, to 7th, and then a lovely 3rd place, our joint highest ever position, it would seem. Although we somehow managed to do that despite having 8 less points than it cost us this year and a goal difference that was 38 worse. And then as a result of that, the following year we then got 30 points less and finished 15th, the worst finish in the club's history. In fact, at that point that was our worst Premier League finish. It took them nearly 20 years to have their worst Premier League finish. That's nuts. But they did rebound back into 7th spot. 8th, 7th, sort of yo-yoing around a bit. 70 points as well. They got 3rd with that not that long ago, and they actually had a better season this year as far as like looking in general. And yeah, got 6th that year because reasons. Then another 6th place, and then an 11th, sort of struggling, but back into 6th with back-to-back 69. Nice. Then a 7th, then an 8th, then a few 10th places, and a 5th in there as well. So there we go. They've been consistently a top half Premier League team for the most part. Let's just check out the lowest ever points tally was 40 points. In fact, that was the lowest by 10. 10 was their lowest ever by 10 points. That is crazy. Highest ever was, under me. Not even the last season of the same. 84 points in the league. Obviously, in League One, we got 98 points, but those don't really count. In fact, our top 3 points finishes were all under my tutelage. There was a good one here with the 74 points. That was how close they actually came to us. So make of that what you will. So we can see their domestic success, but we can also look at their other... Wait, that's the same thing, isn't it? Championship, we don't care about that. We want to look at Champions League. So, they played 4 seasons of Champions League football, sadly. One of which was under me, where we lost to Spurs in the semi-final. The following season, they lost to Juventus in the semi-final. And then about 6 years later, they also lost to Juventus in the quarter-final. And then, sadly, they did manage to get a Champions League appearance 8 years after that, but they came 3rd in their group, sadly. We can actually have a look at that, I think. So we go to 2050. So yes, they came 3rd in a group that had Milan, Real Madrid and Schalke. Oh, they were so close though. Only missed out on it by a point. And this season here, I want to see what the scores were. So 36. Wow, they lost 2-1 on aggregate to Juventus. Close. And then they were beaten 4-2 on aggregate by Juventus in 2042. So that was their Champions League. They only played 4 seasons in it, sadly. Europa League, though, had a lot more of these. Obviously, we won one in 2034. They lost 2 finals in a row. Jesus. To Leipzig and Napoli. Wow, they lost to CSKA in Moscow in the Europa League second knockout round. They lost to a semi-final to Napoli as well. Another semi-final to... Oh, my God. Can you imagine? In 2055, they lost to Blackhaven in the Europa League quarter-finals. That is terrifying. So that means Blackhaven have qualified for Europe. And they have never done that in the save up to the point we were at. So something's happened with them. Oh my God. That's just, you hate to see it. You really hate to see it. We've also Jesus Christ. They lost 4 Europa League finals. They've lost to Leipzig, Napoli, Juventus and Freiburg in 4 Europa League finals. I could have sworn they won one. Maybe they lost Europa League finals in that period. Oh, they won the Europa Conference League in 2039, didn't they? 4 European final defeats for them. God, it's like there was a curse. The curse of bloody Clive Kimberley, apparently. Right, let's check this out then. So 2055 quarterfinals. Obviously, we won't be able to see the actual match stats or anything, I don't suppose. But still, 3-1 on aggregate. Blackhaven won 3-0 at presumably the Leyth Investments Authority Stadium. But let's face it, it's probably the Ernie McKinnon Stadium now or something. Or the Sean Green Stadium. Oh, dear. You hate to see it. That's terrifyingly bad. Europa Conference League. Wow, we were actually only in it 3 times. And to be fair, wait, hang on. Oh, we did win it again. So they've only played 3 seasons in the Europa Conference League, and they've literally won it 3 times. And more importantly, they've beaten Motherwell in 2 of those finals. That is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. We've only played in the competition 3 times. We've won it every single time we've been in it. And 2 of those times we've beaten Motherwell in the final. That's so bizarre. At least Motherwell did better the second time, it would appear. I wonder what the scoreline was. We can't actually see because you can, but it would take us a while to click through it all. So there's that. What about the FA Cup? Yeah, no. No wins in the FA Cup, sadly, throughout our entire career. Go on, give me a Carabao Cup or something. That'd be nice, eh? Where's the Carabao Cup anyway? I've lost it. Oh, that was the EFL. I was already on it, idiot. FA Cup. Yeah, no. I think there was a few finals in there potentially, but sadly not. Anything else that's sort of interesting in there too? Not really. So, honours-wise, some Premier League third places, a couple of those, 2 FA Cup runner-up medals, 4 Europa League runners-up, but we did get a win, a Super Cup win, a Championship win, obviously, 3 Europa Conference League, so they've won 4 European trophies, which is nice. They did win a Carabao Cup. Wait, what? Really? Why didn't we see it then? Oh, that was a runner-up. Never mind. God damn it. They won the They won the Struford Trophy no one cares about. That's the real quiz, everybody. Anything else? The FA Youth Cup, they won that too, and 2 runner-up titles too. They've won Premier League 2 Division 1. Oh, no, they haven't. But they've certainly got better in it, which is interesting. So there we go. Whitport. That's the situation with them. Now, obviously, we want to check out the best 11. That makes way more sense. So is there anybody from... Oh, yes, there is. George Jimmy's there. Jack Charlie. Jerry Ellison. Wait. Did Jerry Ellison... We didn't look at Jerry Ellison, did we? Maybe he was injured when I had a look at it. Okay, well, we're doing it now. 38 years old. 175 caps for Scotland. And 426 games for Whitport. Yeah, okay, so Jerry Ellison, bit of a club legend in a way, really, despite already having many games under his belt. He didn't join us until 7 years into his career, and he played for us for a very long time. 426 games. He played for us for 13 seasons, basically playing every single... Well, not every single match. Actually, towards the end of his career, he must have had an injury, perhaps. Joined Arsenal for £4.7 million. So he definitely won some stuff, and he actually won with Arsenal. He won the Europa Conference League with them in 2047. Interesting. So there we go. There's Jerry Ellison. So Dale Connor... Simon Nelson, Jack Charlie, Jerry Ellison, all in there. But the only member of our current team that makes the overall team of the year... Oh, hang on, is that Mike Nielsen? Oh, it's Matthias Nielsen. Makes the overall best team in the Whitport's history is George Jimmy. And it actually does make sense, because I thought he looked sensationally good. Jerry Ellison, though, not even the best goalkeeper, amazingly, despite having nearly 600 league appearances for Whitport. He's the top appearance holder ever, surely. Jack Charlie, 522 appearances for Whitport. Simon Nelson, nearly 400. Dale Connor, 350 as well. So I guess, really, we want to have a look through some of these guys and see who they are. So Sekou Kone is currently, where's he from? Burkina Faso. Wow. So... Yeah, he was Whitport's best ever goalkeeper. He's currently 36. He's actually still playing currently. He's already in there, despite only have been... He was only at Whitport for 5 seasons, and yet he's been considered their greatest goalkeeper of all time. That is surprising to me, I guess. Boban Paunovic, who would have retired... No, he's still playing as well, and he's still there, in fact. Wow, he's been around the block a bit, hasn't he? How much did they pay for him? It's 50 million quid. They're still spending big money, though. Started his career at FK Partizan, so it wouldn't be Whitport or one of my saves without that. Dario Fiorito, who is actually now at Blackburn, is also considered one of our greatest ever players. He was there a while, to be fair. Signed him from Atalanta for 14 million quid. I can sort of understand there. Although, yeah, Giannarini, another Italian, he only got 3 caps for Italy. So this is the sort of quality of players that are getting into our best ever 11s. Should sort of show you the levels Whitport have achieved, basically. Sebastian Maciejewski. Oh, okay, that's a bit more like it. Fantastic Polish left-back. 100 caps for Poland. And was... Oh my god, he spawned at Whitport! That's awesome. That is incredible. He was born in Limanova, but he came through at Whitport. Okay, brilliant. That's awesome. I'm really, really pleased that a player that came through our youth academy actually has become an insanely good player. Obviously, there's George Jimmy, Rafael Ferial, who is at Barca at the moment, who came through at Flamengo. Whitport bought for 2.4 million, moved him on for 60. That's some good business. That's some stonks there, my friends. Andrew Breen, Englishman at Manchester United. So another lad that came through at Whitport. £53 million. Was born in... he was born in Wigston. Wasn't born on the island, but he was a Whitport supporter. and he likes Rangers because he obviously played for them for one season on loan. So he's a Whitport fan. So not born in Whitport. I was hoping that a Whitport-born player would get some international caps. We could, I don't know, there is probably a way we could check that actually, but it would have to be current England internationals. I don't think you can look back in the past for that, sadly. Matthias Nielsen, we can't see. That must have been a while ago. Tommy Conlon, though. I mean, this guy is nuts. He only got 2 goals and 16 England caps, but this is ridiculous, man. So, started his career at St Patrick's Athletic, apparently. And we don't know how much he... Oh, that must have been a loan from Whitport. He joined Everton for £3 million, but look at that. He was at Whitport for 19 years and 27 Premier League goals in 1 year. Tommy Conlon is the GOAT. 230 league goals. And for Whitport, all of which would have been in the Premier League, 210 Premier League goals for Whitport. He must be up there in the overall top scoring charts, which sadly don't exist and you can't actually see them. That is ridiculous, man. Did he win anything? He must have won stuff with Whitport, surely. Player of the year, Premiership top scorer. Well, not top scorer. Oh, yes, there it is. Top scorer. Won the Conference League with them. European Golden Shoe runner-up, amazingly. That must have been that 27-goal season. What a man. And then also Paolo Bellini in there too, who, pretty solid for Whitport. Didn't play as many games, and he joined him for 62 million quid as well. So that is how that looks. Let's look at managers now. This is important stuff. So we're going to hide the caretakers for now. We can have a look and see if there were any. So Patrick Vieira, who... That's surprising, actually. Took over from me. And, I mean, look at that. I had a 54% win ratio, and Patrick Vieira took over and got a 37% win ratio. He's basically responsible for what happened there. And then we've got Abdoulaye Doucouré, who took over and was there for just over a year. There was really a lack of consistency for quite some time, it would seem, at Whitport. And that just seems inevitable. 45%, slightly better. Sualio Tate, who I'm fairly certain was managing Chelsea on my... Leon save. So there we go. Then Benoit Costil was there for 3 years. And to be fair, he did at least win them the Europa Conference League. So Benoit Costil was actually the manager. Yeah, I remember being a Stade Rennais goalkeeper, I swear, at one point. So he was actually the manager of Whitport when they won the Europa Conference League. So good play to him. Carlos Larinaga. Amazing. That's... Oh, God, he managed Blackhaven for 6 years as well. How did he get that job? Crazy news. But yeah, he was the Manchester City guy that used to tear us apart every time we played them. And he managed us as well. That's kind of cool. Less cool that he managed Blackhaven at this point. I'm concerned that they might have actually done quite well now. Mayte was back again for another spell in charge. Did bad. John Brayford covered us for a little bit. Hannes Wolf. Chris Chapman. Another former Manchester City player. Who, again, was legendarily good in the Premier League. Wow, what was it with all the Manchester... Former Fulham player, Emerson Hindman. Steve Cooper came in for a bit. Retired. Abdoulaye Doucouré thought, I'll have another crack at it. Didn't go so well. Dylan Sambisa, who is, of course, that ridiculous striker that was at Manchester United, who I nearly signed on loan at one point, but eventually he went on to be very, very good indeed. He's now the Arsenal manager, so fair play to him on that one. Ismail Mohammed, don't know much about him. They really have been getting through managers, haven't they? And to be fair, Dylan Sambisa did actually win us the Europa Conference League again. So he was the one that was in charge when we beat Motherwell in the end. So fair play to him on that. No one really standing out here particularly. These guys don't really mean a great deal to me in total. Mark, didn't he used to play for... Yeah, I remember seeing him at... Oh, no, I don't. Oh, no, maybe I do. I think he was in that Barcelona team, actually, when we knocked them out of the Champions League, I think. So nobody's really been there very long. Like, 3 years with Benoit Costil when he won them the Europa Conference League is the longest time anyone's ever been at the club. Any interesting caretakers in there too? Let's just have a quick gander to see if anyone's... Thomas Frank. Oh, it's funny. Anyone else in there? Elo Hodzic. No one really standing out to me. No. So no interesting caretakers on that one as well. I'm trying to think what else we could really look at for Whitport. I guess records would make sense for us to do. So Tommy Conlon, most overall, makes total sense. Most of the records, fewest wins in a season actually was 11. Well after it. Most league defeats was that 15th place they had. Biggest win ever was under me. Biggest transfer though was Adrian Voituret to Manchester City for 132 million quid. He's quite a good player, isn't he? Not sure exactly what position he played, but so he was very, very good indeed. Look at that record for us. 28 Premier League goals. That might be the most ever in a season. Obviously, we can't see because Wynn Billington's one. Or maybe there is a way we can look at that. I don't know. So, yeah, our highest ever transfer fee was actually with me, amazingly. Most matches lost in a row was 7. and most matches without winning as well. That was probably what got Patrick Vieira sacked, I'm guessing. Youngest ever goal scorer was Jack Charlie. No surprises there. Youngest ever player was surely Jack Charlie again. Oldest ever player, good old Scotty Maxfield. And yeah, look at that. Adrian Voiteret with a 7.82 average rating. Good God. How much did they pay for this guy? £13 million, and they moved him on for 10 times that. What a god. Tommy Conlon obviously has over 400 league appearances for us, and the most goals by a season oh my god, 42 goals in a season. That's nuts. Can we sort it? Oh, you can't sort it. But look at this Tommy Conlon record. But Voiteret as well with 42. That's the most ever, comfortably. Milan Lonchar got 35 under me, and Wynn Billington got 35. Curtis Thomas got 37 one season, but yeah, it's very clear to see. I bet you, though, that Ben Putt... Oh, we haven't looked at Ben Putt McKiley. I hope he's still around. I don't know why he wasn't on the list. I think it's because he was released. We'll have a look at that. Most assists by a player in a season. Any huge numbers? Wellington, 23 there. Who are you? He's unattached, but he looks like he was pretty tasty as it goes. He's the slowest man in the world, though. So, wow, look at that. Slow boy. 20... Wow. So, yeah. Kayo with the 24 there. Putman Kitely with 32. I assume he just retired. Yeah, he just retired straight after, basically, because he wanted 60 grand a week to come play for a Premier League team because he's an idiot. So the Wizard was the most that season with 23. And it would actually stand for a while before George Jimmy just started rolling out the assists. 24 assists. But that does still show you, though, Putman Kitely's 32 in one season is the most ever for anyone at Whitport in a season. So that's nice. Highest average rating, I imagine it was the Voiteret one here at 7.82. 82. Good God. Most player of the match awards in a season? Curtis Thomas got 14, and only person to ever tie that was Voiteret. Surely Voiteret is the greatest player to ever play for Whitport. He just wasn't there long enough. That has to be it, really. Flans Player of the Year. Wow, they liked Tommy Conlon and Matthias Nielsen, didn't they? Christ. Although, Milan Lonchar, ironically, won it that season for us. Kieran Williams as well. Don't know who he is, but he was very well liked, it would seem. What else we got? Transfers, we can't really look at that too much. Attendances, so that was obviously when we moved into the new stadium. It took us a while to get there, but we did in fact do it. Well, there you go. I'm trying to think what else we could really look at here. There's not really much more we can do. Affiliate clubs, I assume they would have... Yeah, they've really cut back on the number of affiliates. I signed up so many of them. HJK, lol. That's basically that for Whitport Athletic. So, don't forget, we're still going to look at Blackhaven. We've still got some awards to go through. This video is just getting longer and longer and longer, my friends. Right, here we go. Moment of truth. Blackhaven. What the hell happened to these guys? Blackhaven United, they're second in the Premier League. Oh, they've won it. They've bloody won it. That's bad because... Also, Ishmael Mohammed... I don't trust him. I'm fairly certain he managed us as well. It's bad because it's happened, and I feel bad because Blackhaven won the league before we did. But, and yeah, I can see down at the bottom as well in their honours as well. They've won the fucking Champions League. That's not the point. I'm very happy because it means that I have actually managed to get an AI club to go from the 8th tier to the top flight, realistically looking, without interfering with it directly during the save. Just doing the sponsorship thing, we've actually managed to make that happen. So I'm actually quite proud of that because I did not expect that would fully happen. And the fact that we've managed to pull that off is quite remarkable, frankly. So let's just take a look at what happened with Blackhaven. So, they actually came 14th that season under Sean Green. That much we knew, but they did really, really bounce back the following year. 63 points. I think that's their record finish up till that point, with their record points tally by a country mile. And then they were just consistent. Very good. Just outside the sort of promotion, not the promotion, the European spots. I think there was a few sort of EC2 appearances in here too, which means they probably would have won a couple of those. Maybe got Europa League the following season, perhaps as a result of that. But it looks like they really struggled to climb beyond that. Another 6th place wasn't for a while. And then this is when it really started to mount up. I don't know what changed here, because they would have lost all their money at this point. Maybe they had a good run in Europe and got into the Champions League, perhaps as a result of like other factors, and it allowed them to sign better players, because then they got a 2nd place, 80 points. Then somehow they got 5th with 81 points, which is crazy, by the way. And then they got a 2nd here with 84 points, a 3rd, a 5th, a 2nd, and then a 3rd again. They're right on the cusp of it, another 3rd, and then they finally won it with 77 points. They came 5th with 81, but they won it with 77 in the end. Just had to have a bad season with everyone else, and they scored 69 goals that season too. Then they came second again, and that's where they are currently this season as well, on for another 2nd place finish. Although I don't believe the season's actually finished yet, so they could still win it. Most points ever, Honestly, was in there. Yeah. So best Premier League finish ever in terms of points was actually when they came second. It's actually crazy to me that they won the title with 77 points, but they had seasons where they had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 seasons where they got more points than that. Their best ever season allowed them to finish second. But it's annoying because they've clearly been in the Champions League a fuckload during this period as well. Their most ever goals in a season was 87 during a Premier League season as well. Their least ever was their last season in the Premier League that we played, where we were in the league with them, because they just could not score goals to save their lives. Oh, let's see what else they've bloody won. Screw it, we'll do honours just so we can see. They've won the Champions League. They've won the Premier League. They've finished second 5 times. We never even did that. They've won 5 FA Cups, 3 Europa Leagues, 2 Europa Conference Leagues, 3 Carabao Cups. Oh, they've won the Europa Youth League as well. They've won a little bit of everything in here, unfortunately. And then we know they knocked us out of one as well, which is just disappointing as hell, isn't it? Right, so let's just see. Europa Champions League. So they beat Bayern Munich in the final. Their one time ever. Have they been to any more finals? First knockout round, quarter-final, semi-final, quarter-final. No. So it appears that the only time they've ever reached the final, they actually went and won it. God, they did what we couldn't. Europa League, though, lots of these, I feel like. They lost to Wolfsburg in the... Wait, the quarter-final, yeah. They lifted the Europa League. They beat Man United in the Europa League final. They beat Spurs in the Europa League final. They beat Hertha Berlin in the Europa League final. And then they lost in the second round quite a lot of the time. I imagine they spent a lot of time in the Europa Conference League. Wow, no. They were actually only in it 3 times. And they beat Monaco and then Hibernian as well. What is it with Scottish teams, man? So they've done all right in those, it would be fair to say. FA Cup... they're in the final this year too. They beat Man United in a final. They beat Crystal Palace in a final. They beat Watford in a final. They beat Chelsea in a final. They beat... You can't see me, but I'm putting my hood over my face. I did not see that earlier. They beat Whitport Athletic in the FA Cup final. Oh, shoot me now, friends. Shoot me now. So that was the final that we lost. 2040. God, look at all these cup wins. They're in the final against Palace again. They're going to win it again this year, aren't they? 2040 then. Let's have a look. We won't be able to see much about it. Oh, no, right. 2-1 at Wembley. Yeah, we can't see any details from the match. Whitport 1, Blackhaven United 2. Whitport lost the FA Cup final to Blackhaven. You hate to see it, don't you? Unless you're a Blackhaven fan, in which case you bloody love to see it, I suppose. They beat Leeds in the EFL Cup final. Beat Chelsea in it as well. They only won 2 of those, I think, though. Yeah, it would appear that they only won 2 games. Oh, my lord. I don't know. Actually, is there even a way that you could look at the head-to-head between Whitport and Blackhaven? Because I don't think you can do that unless you're actually the manager of one of the clubs, which is quite annoying. Maybe at the very end, I'll just appoint myself manager of Whitport again. And just so we can have a look at the head-to-head, if nothing else. Bloody hell. So, records. Let's look at best 11 first. Blackhaven's best 11. I don't suppose you'll recognise any player within this best 11. I imagine most of them are more recent. Oh, Adria Pages is on there, and Adam Jeffs is as well. So he was around for a little bit. Adria Pages is completely gone. Kennedy John. Who's their best ever goal scorer? Augusto Fernandez with 200 goals. 167 in the league as well. I mean... £85 million they paid for him. They've spent a lot of money in this. I dread to think the kind of money they've spent. And we'll have a little gander in a minute. Not in too much detail because it takes a while to load those pages. But let's take a look at their records. Their record transfer. Oh, look at the trophy cabinet. Most league appearances as well. Luis Juma, a Portuguese international who they signed for 480 games, nearly. That's insane. So we were looking at records, weren't we? God, look at this though. 1 Champions League, a Premier League, 5 FA Cups, 3 Europa Leagues, 2 Europa Conference Leagues, 3 Carabao Cups. They've done what we couldn't, and it frustrates me. Records, right. So, record signing. Amazingly, Timo Emmerling, who's still there currently, is their highest ever transfer fee from Norwich City for £88 million. They only ever spent £5 million more than we did, and they actually have only received total transfer spending. When did they spend 500 million in a season? We have to look at that. Or is that total? That can't be in total. They've spent that just over like 2 years at some point. Sheriff Allah to Lazio for nearly 100 million pounds was their best ever sale. Oh my God. A guy they got for less than $1 million. They sold for just under 100 million pounds. Fair play. They've been able to self-sustain themselves quite nicely, it would seem. Adria Gabaron scored 34 times for them in a season. Just so many people. Charlie Gourlay was their youngest ever. That was back in the first season of the save as well. Just craziness. Yeah, I don't know what to say. They've just been very, very good, sadly. Highest attendance ever. Well, that means that they are in a new stadium, aren't they? The Adam Jeffs Stadium with a 53,000 capacity. Yeah, they've had plenty of money, and it doesn't seem as though the money's dried up all that much. Maybe they continued getting higher sponsorship fees as a result of the fact that I invested that money in the first place. That could be it. In fact, we'll be able to see here. If we go on sponsorship income, no. So you can see it has dropped down. It's still very high, don't get me wrong. But like to give you an idea, I never showed this screen because obviously it breaks the immersion a little bit. In the last season of our save, they were getting £900 million a year in sponsorship money. That's how we were funding them at that point. So they are clearly now self-sufficient. We can't really see their finances, or can we? Oh, no, we can. So they've got 126 million in the bank. They've lost 100 million pounds. I bet you they have the highest wage bill in the league by an absolute country mile. Let's go. Favoured personnel, Carlos Larinaga. So many things wrong with that. Oh, we'll come back and look at the legendary personnel for Whitport. So, legends at Blackhaven, Adam Jeffs, Lewis Patrick. Neil Tank was an icon, as well as Carlos Larinaga, who obviously managed them at some point. They have other rivals with Manchester United, Manchester City, and Tottenham. So the dynamic rivalries actually did happen, just not with us. Let's just see. Did we get any as well? We must have got some, surely. No. Oh, yeah, we got Man United. So our legends was Maris Suarez, me, Matthias Nielsen, one of their legendary players, Curtis Thomas, Tommy Conlon, Ben Mills and Liam Mottram, of course, and then literally none of the other players from our save, amazingly. So that was that. What else was I going to look at? Oh, transfers. Yeah, let's look at their transfer history. We should be able to see if they made any ridiculous seasons as far as transfers go. So no, that season here, where they brought in all those people... Oh, no. What am I talking about? No, that's absolute nonsense. This was that season under Sean Green. This was the following season under Sean Green. They had a year where they spent nearly 500 million quid. What on earth was this season? 2039 maybe? Let's just have a quick gander, see if we can find it. Try 2038 actually. 502 million pounds they spent on transfers in a single season. By the way, Andre McDonnell Warmington sounds like the most fantastic name. 84 million, 60 million, 73. Surely this is a record for transfer spending in a single season, as far as like a single team has done. I wonder where they finished that year. 2039, 2040. Where did Blackhaven finish that season? I'm kind of curious now to see what that achieved them. 7th. GG, that's G fucking G. Okay, cool. Yeah, we actually... Whitport finished above them that year as well. Oh, that's amazing. They really just cannot get their shit together, can they? So, managers of Blackhaven United. Here we go. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. That's amazing. That is truly astonishing. They've only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 managers in this save, whereas we've had about 50. And most of them won stuff too. Obviously, except for Neil Ardley, poor sod. Eddie Howe amazingly gets credited with a Premier League title, but also, look, Stepanek had a 61% win ratio. Eddie Howe with a 33%. Sean Green, 51%. Sean Green won in the Europa League, the FA Cup, and the Europa Conference League in his 8 years at the club. What a choice of a manager that is. That literally, I think that changed the game for them. I think if they don't make Sean Green the manager, they get relegated in that season, and we basically never hear from them again in the same function. He is the GOAT. I mean, actually, to be fair, when you look at Jez Pitty, firstly, what a name Jez Pitty is. Never managed... Well, he was just a random regen manager. That's kind of weird. Won in the Europa League, Europa Conference, and the Europa Super Cup. So, basically, the exact same trophies, except that Sean Green... I'd argue that Sean Green probably did slightly better. Even though Jez Pitty's win ratio was slightly better, on the fact that Sean Green won in the FA Cup as well and took less time to do it. He resigned from his role in the end. Let's see why Sean Green went after that. Oh, he took the England job. Not really that surprising. Then went to Wolves, Hearts, Motherwell. I wonder if he was in charge with Motherwell when Whitport lost the final. When Whitport beat them, rather. But just managed in Scotland for the rest of his career after doing so well with Blackhaven. Strange. Jez Pitty, of course. And then they went to Xavi Simons, hilariously, who's a real player, is he not? Isn't he at Barcelona in real life? Yeah, he is. It's and then he managed Blackhaven for 3 years. He did get sacked in the end, despite having one of the best average win ratios in that period. He won the FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Community Shield, Europa League, and the FA Cup again. Didn't win anything on a European basis other than the Super Cup, though. I guess that's what was left over after Jez Pitti left to take which role exactly? The Liverpool role. Okay, fair enough. And then Carlos Larinaga finally was the guy that won the Premier League. I mean, you can't say fairer than that. 62% win ratio for Carlos Larinaga. An FA Cup, a Champions League, a Premier League, a Carabao Cup, and he won everything. He literally won every trophy that they could win, that they were in, conceivably anyway. And then left to go, where did he go after that? He took the Bayern Munich job after that, after winning everything with Blackhaven. And then they replaced him with Ismail Mohammed, who actually so far, albeit over a single season, has got a 70% win ratio. That's actually quite good. But I'm fairly certain this guy has managed Whitport as well. Yes, he has. So 2 different managers have managed both Whitport and Blackhaven. What was his stats like at Whitport then? As far as a manager goes. How do we see it? It's on milestones, isn't it? We can have a look at competition. So when he was Whitport manager, came 6th in the Premier League with Whitport. Twice, in fact. And 11th. And where did he get sacked or what? He was sacked as Whitport manager, amazingly. There's Whitport. We also had another 3rd there as well. But Blackhaven have been in and around the top and the elite for a long time now, it would basically appear. So, World Cups, Euros, and I guess we'll finally finish off with a bit of Ballon d'Or. Actually, we'll do the Ballon d'Ors now, and then we'll do the World Cups and the Euros. I don't want to spend too much more time on it because my throat's starting to hurt, and we've been talking for 2 hours now. But let's look at the Ballon d'Ors. Did any Blackhaven players win it? No, they didn't. That makes me happy. Larinaga did win a load of them. Wilson Mazunho got one for Barca as well. Chris Chapman, doesn't surprise me that he got one. Oh, Unai Bengochea as well. Sorry, Bengochea, the guy from Sergei Sally. Great name. Just terrific name there. Edelson Kasama as well for Liverpool, got a few of them back to back. Did Blackhaven have any players in there? That's the question. Guillermo Ritano. I swear there was a former Whitport player that was on the short list. Now, I don't know if that means he was on like the top 3 or anything, but still. Kai Kurtz won a few of them as well going forward. Schomleyer, there we go. Dennis Schomleyer was the runner-up for the Ballon d'Or in 2045 while he was at Leipzig. So that should tell you a lot about him. What a season he had there. And another guy, in fact, Philipp Schindler for RB Leipzig in there too. Mason Chorley, Xander Ramsey. I nearly signed this guy for Whitport. He was started at Celtic. He was a striker. Thing is, though, as much as he had scored 69 goals for his country and 200 goals for PSG, he had terrible finishing. His finishing was like 7. But this is FM, I suppose, and finishing doesn't matter that much. Voiteret, of course, the former Bob. Fucking Bob. You love to see it. Any other interesting one? Alan Dunn. Ulysses Diaz is a cool name. Bob coming up in the world there. In fact, did Bob get back-to-back second places? No, he didn't. Boris Kitoko, another one for Bob there. Mostly, oh, there we go. Lewis Patrick for Blackhaven United was 3rd place in the Ballon d'Or while at Blackhaven. I feel like they must have had some other players in here as well over this period. Pablo Fabri. No. Makengo. Wrong one. Clicked it. There we go. Simon Edgar. Robert All Wang. Do you know why? Because he's all Wang. Love. That's just glorious stuff. No more actually on there at all. Guy Makengo. And amazingly, no more Blackhaven players. The only Blackhaven player that got on here at all was Lewis Patrick of Blackhaven, and he's actually still playing amazingly. Yeah, he was quite good for Blackhaven, wasn't he? Christ. Oh wow, Jesus, look at some of those seasons. No wonder he got it. So team of the year, maybe, to see if anyone got in there. So Blackhaven have a current player in the team of the year. I don't think there's any chance of a Whitport player being in this, but we'll see. Blackhaven had 3 in it that season. Most of the defence, in fact, was Blackhaven there. They had, again, 2 of those same guys in there again. None this year. But then they had Renato Ayerts in there again. And then, again, this guy looks like he's a godlike player as well. And again, Lewis Patrick in it that time as well. I just want to see a Whitport player in there, but I think it's very unlikely that we're going to get that. Keith Evans as well. And then Lewis Patrick again. If you do see a Whitport player that I missed in here, then let me know, because I'd be very interested to see that. But it does appear that I think if we were going to have any chance of a player in the World Team of the Year, it would be the latter part of the decade. Maybe that guy, the Uruguayan lad, might have done enough to potentially get in there for Whitport. This guy, Adrian Voiteret, or Voiteret, maybe earlier during his career when he was still at Whitport, there might have been a chance that he could have snuck in here because of that season he had. I wonder, and there's Schomleyer in it as well, on the regular. I feel like he's probably good enough around about this sort of period. There he is. Finlay Beckwith for Whitport. He plays for Barcelona. He played against us in that Champions League tie. There you go. Finlay Beckwith got the World Team of the Year while playing for Whitport. Oh, right, wrong one. Where did we get to? It was like about here, wasn't it? There it is. Finlay Beckwith. Yeah, amazing. But the other Whitport guy did not get in it. So the only player for Whitport that's ever got into the Team of the Year looks like it was Beckwith. Incredibly. And yeah, so amazingly, that guy that had the 7.8 season or whatever for Whitport didn't somehow get into the Team of the Year. Maybe he did and I just missed it. Who knows? Right, okay, so that's the Ballon d'Ors done. Let's go quickly check out World Cups and Euros. That's the final two things we're going to have a look at in this save. I'm sorry if I've missed anything, but sometimes you have to draw the line somewhere. So we'll just do past winners. It's easier to see. So France and Poland were runner-up. Wow, that was during the save as well. Denmark won one. Portugal, Belgium got a few in there as well. The Czech Republic got a runner-up spot. Spain have now won 3 in a row. So the domination of Spain there. But it's always nice to see a random one like Denmark winning it. I know they also won the World Cup in my other save, so it can happen. But they did that in like 2030 or something in my other save. So it took them a little bit less time. And lastly, we'll have a little look at the World Cup. The thing we all want to see. Oh dear, that's looking very samey. England came runner-up too. Spain, Brazil, Spain, Argentina, France, Spain, Brazil, Spain. Wow. Boring, I'd have to say there. Turkey getting third place there. England getting a load of third places and a few runners-up. But they never quite did it. England basically being the World Cup bridesmaids, it would appear. So, oh, good Lord. That basically concludes the looking forward for Whitport, I think. We're over 2 hours into this now. And I think that's a good time to call it. I have had a great time with this save. As much as it sucks that Blackhaven massively overperformed us towards the end of the save, I did figure that could potentially happen. I'm just really glad that they didn't just fade away into nothing, to be honest. I felt that's what was going to happen when the money dried up, and it didn't. And the fact that they have now won everything is... I think I've managed to prove a point that I was trying to make originally with this save, that you can actually make that happen. Because you always see experiments in the past about like giving a non-league team £1 billion, right? But what often happens with those saves is that they spend all the money early on, spend horrendous amounts of money on players that aren't very good, although Blackhaven did that too, to be fair. And then they sort of stall out because they can never be... it's not sustainable because they're not actually getting income. But with the sponsorship thing, it does appear that you can actually get them to achieve what you want them to achieve. You just have to stagger it a little bit more. And if you are interested in what I mean by that, and maybe you're new to the series, if you go back to the first episode, in the description, there is a video where I talk about... it's an unlisted video where I talk about how I set this database up to work in the way that it did. And I'm very, very proud of that. So it's got a blueprint in case you actually do want to do this, perhaps with an FM21 save yourself. Maybe you want to have a local rival come up through the leagues with you if you're doing like a local team challenge kind of thing. Maybe you want that, your nearest town team. If you're taking your local club up to the top, maybe you want the team that's their biggest rivals who are a local team as well to come with you. This is how you do that. And yeah, so check that out as well. So if you've enjoyed this save, and I really hope you have, drop a like. That would be spectacular. If you're new to my videos, and this is the first one of mine you've seen, we've got all sorts of cool stuff coming up with FM21. More videos than normal as well, actually. It's going to be at least one video a day for most of the cycle. There's going to be extra videos coming in here and there too. So yeah, make of that what you will. And the streams too. We've got streams as well. So go follow there too. So yeah, I will see you guys tomorrow. I don't really know how the content's going to go for now. It depends on when the beta drops. It depends on all sorts of things. I've got lots of videos. I might do a best ever 11 from my 21 saves. So 20 saves as well. So I will see you guys very, very soon. For the final time from Sunshine on Leith, hold your gun, Capybara. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.